Do you want to wait a couple of minutes though?
Totally up to you guys. I actually just need to go and take a little bit.
Well, Prince Rose is first, and he's not here, so.
Hmm.
Does he know he's first?
Yes,
That's good.
coming back. This is exciting though. It's gonna be such a good show tonight.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Where's Aisha? How are you doing?
She wrote in the chat.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. I guess I can start my piece and then I can pass it over. So just to really quickly, hello everybody. Welcome to the FreeFlow Showcase. My favorite day of the week, as always. Every single Saturday we do this amazing show. One of the greatest parts of this is we are a very socially conscious and connected community that we're always building and hoping everybody can grow together. So this week, I usually actually host the show. But this week, because of everything that's been happening with the Black Lives Matter movement and being able to actually amplify Black voices, this week I'm actually not going to be hosting, and I am going to be passing on the reins to one of the other co-producers. And one of the most important things as an ally is to be able to know when to take a step back. And that's what this week is really all about. It's about myself and the rest of the team being conscious of what's happening. And so I'm going to be taking a step back as the host, and I'm going to be passing it over to someone I trust very much. And I'm really grateful to have him as our host for tonight and to guide us. He's going to be the captain of the ship, and we're all going to be able to follow. And I really appreciate all the work that he's been doing. He was actually just marching just yesterday. So give a huge round of applause and lots of love right now to the wonderful, the incredible Mr. Adrian Curry.
Yes. Yo. Thank you, Anto, for that wonderful introduction. Hello, everyone. We're back live on FreeFlow Showcase. We're still in quarantine. We're still having to physical distance and be away from our friends and loved ones. But hey, life goes on. We got to protest. I got two words: no justice, no peace. We have to protest. We have to be safe with each other. We have to let our voices be heard. We have to speak out against injustice, and we have to speak in favor of love and unity and making a better world for ourselves. This week has been a very tumultuous week. Let's say that again. This week has been a very tumultuous week all over the world for everyone on the planet. We've had to deal with many things coming at once. And I think this is a huge maturation process for the human race, for us to grow and to realize that we can be so much better than what we think we can do or that we are. So in light of that, we wanted to focus on this show and the opportunity to talk and to hold space for a lot of the ideas that people are dealing with on their chest and their heart, on their minds, on their shoulders. You know, there's a lot going on right now that we need to process. We really need to process this, and I think the best way to do that is to talk, is to have dialogue and to share. And that's what we have here. We've got the FreeFlow Showcase. It's a community that we're building. Anto Chan, he's been a great leader in understanding that people need to communicate and connect, and by doing that through art, we become better people. So I really appreciate that. So we're going to be focused on the events that's going on. We're going to be talking about it. We have some great poetry lined up. We've got some great music lined up. We've got some great storytelling lined up. We've got some great discussions lined up. My co-host, Aisha, Soul Sister Aisha, will come on eventually, and we will lead a discussion about a new view, about how we can create a new world from the ashes that we're living in right now. I'm going to say that again because it's funny. Because of the ashes we're living in right now. There was so much burning and looting last week all over the world. People are stepping up and saying enough is enough. And the best way for people to hear that we're serious is to get their attention. And You know, I mean, we don't want anybody to lose their lives, and we don't wish that on anyone. And thank God that people are calming down and realizing that there are other ways that we can protest. We can use our voices, we can use our intellect, and we can gather together and do our best to fight this oppression that's in front of us. But also, it's a great time for us to connect and realize that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to create the world that we want to live in. We have a responsibility to stand up and to speak against injustice. And we have a responsibility to each and every person that we know, to everyone that's on this call and to everyone that's in our family and our neighborhood. We have a responsibility to build a better world that we all can live together. And we're doing that because, as Anto Chan says, it's all love, baby. So we've got a fantastic show lined up. We have Prince Rose, the rapper, coming on. We have Velvet Wells. He's going to be doing his wonderful musical shows. We've got Chris Bautista. He's going to be doing some poems. We've got Chris Robinson. He's going to be doing some music and some comedy and some rap. It's going to be fantastic. So don't go anywhere. Now, I just need to know Anto, how's Chris doing?
Yeah, Chris is on a little bit later. Prince Rose is in the room as well as it's open to whichever direction you're wanting to head.
Okay, Prince, are you ready? Are you ready to step out, take the stage, bro? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Want a couple more minutes?
There you go.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay. Yeah. So I just want to make sure that you're ready. So the main focus of the night is dialogue, and we want to share how we feel. We decided to focus mostly to give people of color, my brothers and sisters, a chance to be highlighted tonight and to share what's been going on in their minds and in their hearts, because we've all been feeling and dealing with a lot of stuff, and that's part of the reason why I'm hosting a little bit more tonight. And then Aisha's going to step on, as I said earlier. But we really wanted to give people the chance to express themselves. So we're going to be having a discussion, as we said, and for people that are watching, people that are on the call on Zoom, don't be shy. Step in and tell us how you feel, and if you have an opinion, please do. And we're going to have an opportunity also later on in the open mic for people to share what they want to share. The open mic is open to everyone. So, so you know, if you come on later on, we'll be telling you again that we have the opportunity for open mic. So don't be shy. So I just want to give a shout out to some of our supporters and our I suppose members. This episode is sponsored by Taylor Price and Roshin Kearney. They are Patreon supporters. And if you want to support us later on, we'll give you the link to our Patreon handle. But right now, without further delay, let's start off with some positive, some hip hop, some kick-ass sorry, I can't say it on music. Here's our boy Prince Rose, who's going to guide us with some musical flows. All right.
What's up, guys? What's up?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for having me. I'm gonna bring a little bit of a vibe to you guys right now. This song that I have, by the way, I just released a EP for anyone who doesn't know. It's out. The song that I'm gonna do real quick is along the same type of vibe of the songs on the EP. The song is called No Offense. Background on the song, I think it's better to just let the song speak. It has the information in it. But yeah, I'll go ahead with that. It's been a long, long time. All right, yo. Yeah. Oh, I'm offended. I take offense to all of this shade that you know by not replying to my message. Like you wasn't here. Ass up, face down, straight round. So now you pretending. So now you want to act like we supposed to up and forget it. All of the loving moments from fucking and chilling. Like I wasn't the realest. Yeah. I exposed the truth in all your heroes, and that should make you see me as a villain. Say that's part of your healing. What part of my feelings, but fuck that. I got a whole lot of pride I can't put aside. I've been trying to find ways to say things I got inside, bottled up, roll a blunt for a split like the ones that you used to. I wish you wanna pose to make it up like we used to, or love like we used to. What's up with you new dudes? I've never seen you as the type to let people use you. Although your anxiety tends to make things confuse you, and that's why I try to check up every once in a while. Even that is too much, but fuck it though, dog. Things change, people grow out of love, hearts break, shit strange, trying to deal with heartache. Just trying to get rid of my pain. Real talk, no shame, no blame, cause people are wild. Got permanent frowns in their face in place of a smile. I'd rather be down and build if it takes me a while, and so be it. No rushing, so be it. Rhyming nothing for me. Been a long time coming, there's nothing more free than being comfortable. In and out your comfort zone, seeing what you want and going places you ain't never been. Everything's heaven sent, I'll never let the devil win. No weapon formed against. Y'all know the rest. I got no complaints on my nigga. Everything blessed. Thinking about the days and the nights, every stress. Life was full of blessings. But I'm great, all A's, high grade, no cap, that gown, that smoke, I blaze, all flame, my team love me. Give me good, whoa. Just a whole lot of love and communication. Honestly, I feel like that shit that can heal a nation. Break all the separation, make all the preparations and push that. I gotta wait too far now to look back. Celebrating cook rats, reservations, book that. My squad coming through with a whole lot of drip, looking like the faucet, bro. Anything is possible. KG Boston quote. I want my chip with the dip. Look, man, Larry in Toronto, bro. And this shit here crazy. All of this here is what made me. I told you be patient. Me, I'm history in the making. And now they just history, baby. Tell them to you. This shit here crazy. All of this here is what made me. I told you be patient. Me, I'm history in the making. And now you just history, baby. Yeah. That is no offense, guys.
What? Prop, loving it.
No offense. I got one more for you guys, if that's all right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Sick. This one is called Halos. This is like my, I guess, this is where my mind takes me in terms of like I just balancing between I guess some of the higher thoughts and some of the more lower frequency thoughts that are on the same nature of just balancing being a human being, I guess, really, and just my perspective on it also. Yeah, this one's called Halos. Shout out to my brother Campbell. He produced this track. The beat is real bumping. I hope you guys like it. Yeah, let's do this one. Yeah. Let's go. I see angels on my eyelids, demons on my halo. I've had talks with God, he telling me to lay low. Darkness want my shine, the devil want my soul. My conscience say I had enough, my ego wants some more. Third eye open, why now I can't keep it closed? I hear voices talking on and off, but now I know they real. I'm about to rise, I feel it in my bones. Kundalini Shakti, God has got me made, know the deal. Yeah. Kundalini Shakti, God has got me, man, you know the deal. Yeah. Kundalini Shakti, goddess. Look, I can never fear a snake. I know that the ladder next. I'm killing the race. I feel like master with the pace. They probably be mad at that. Fuck do I care? Throw my setup in the air. Same gang, never change gang. Middle finger to the niggas. Double finger for the main thing. Pleasure. Give me pain, passion. I'm about whatever. Seize and take control of your lower nature. Only so far it takes it. Believe it or not, that fix is eventually gonna break you. UV, ultraviolet rays, only violet rays. You see, you and me are different from each other in all types of ways. I done rose from the ground up, connect the source, got my crown up. Conversations with my intuition. Thank God that God's found us. No idea where I'm at now. Hyperbolic every time I train, I'm getting better day after day, but it feels like a year when I'm background. See, I don't know how to act now. I ain't never changed, that's on everything. Only leveled up, I've been getting up. Time to get away, gotta levitate, time to get away. Out of my zone, visit California, A with the Bay. Hit the Bay to make the drive to LA. It's on the paper now, I can't even front. All I hear is me, that's what you say. I really mean that shit, I do what I want and it gets the results. But I see angels on my eyelids, demons on my halo. I've had talks to God, he telling me to lay low. Darkness on my shine, the devil on my soul. My conscience say I had enough, my ego wants some more. Yeah, third eye open, why now I can't keep it closed? I hear voices talking on and off, but now I know they're real. I'm about to rise, I feel it in my bones. Kundalini Shakti goddess got me, man, you know the deal. Kundalini Shakti goddess got me, man, you know the deal. Yeah, that one is Halos, guys.
Nice.
Woo! Oh,
Yes.
man.
What? Love that. So good.
I'm sweating, man. I'm sweating.
You should be. That's some hard work. That was good.
Man, you guys like it though? How was it?
Love that.
I appreciate it, man.
Awesome.
So good, man.
One thing for sure, and the roads are really good. Yeah.
Asia, I appreciate the snaps, brother.
Love the flow, love the rhymes, love the rhythm, love the energy, love the bounce. That's a chart stopper. That's a summer hit right there.
Hey, hopefully, man, I'm gonna put it out soon. So.
Put it up soon and put it everywhere. Push it out.
Absolutely,
Push
man.
it out.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Love it.
Woo!
Well, that was a fantastic performance.
Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome, bro.
I appreciate being able to kick out and start off the vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Really, really well done. So yeah, we're just really happy to be here to have all these amazing performers coming through. And if you want to check out Prince Rose on Instagram, there he is. He's got his, is it an album that's coming out, you said?
Yeah, it's an album that I just put out about a month ago now.
Right.
It's available to stream on all platforms. It's called Sunset Vibes.
Cool.
Summertime music. It's pretty uplifting, really chill. So a little bit in a contrast to what's been going on and whatnot, everyone needs to alleviate in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, there's some uplifting vibes, and hopefully that can do it for you in a little bit of time, you know? So.
Okay, cool. So that's amazing. Really love the fact that you're putting out good music and creating positive vibes and just being creative, you know, because that's what it is right now. Our jobs as creatives is to just unite and heal the world, you know, and your music, your music is definitely part of that. It's brotherhood that we need right now, brothers and sisters. Yeah. So, you know, this is just a really great opportunity for us to be here and to share our music and our poetry and to share space and try to hold a positive vibe because, you know, the world is going crazy right now. It's being turned upside down, and it's so important for us to lean on each other and get together and just to create.
Absolutely, man.
Real happy that we're here right now. So this is something we just want to let you know that being on Zoom is not necessarily the most safe platform right now. And every now and then there's the chance for some terrorism. Or we call that Zoom bombing. So everyone on the call here, just pay attention if it happens. We've got a protocol to deal with it. So we're going to be on it. Just be aware. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
You know, this is post 911, so you got to be aware for everything right now. Okay. So moving on, Anto, who do we got coming up next? Help me out.
Yeah,
brother.
we have Velvet. Woo!
Yes, my favorite. Where's the smooth velvet? He's the man with the open voice. Yeah. It's so pleasure to have you here, Velvet. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Adrian.
Yeah. So glad you're here, and I want you to do your due, but I also want you to share a little bit of how you feel about what's going on right now, and you as a colored man and how you see the world, because we value your opinion, and your input. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate the space to speak, and of course, I don't speak for anybody else but me. These are my experiences going through it.
Right.
But for me, it's. You know, they say that good things happen in threes, bad things also happen in threes for me. So it was,
Yeah.
I got laid off from work, and then we all got pulled into our own homes with COVID. And then racism reared its ugly head yet again. And I mean, it's been ongoing. It's not a new thing for us in any way, but it was just like the pile-on just felt like it kept coming. Actually, I want to share something that I wrote very recently about this, because mostly what I do is musical improv. That's where my heart is. That's where my joy is. But I was feeling guilty about that, and so I wrote this piece. on June 4th, and I said part of my funk yesterday was the inner conflict of wanting to express black joy while also feeling the effects of trauma, and not wanting to take either the space or to diminish the trauma of my peers. Like Nina Simone says, an artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. And it would be easy to cater to white audiences and show more of that black trauma. But I'm also a master of my own discomfort. I've had decades trying to be what white audiences wanted, and I know how to drum up those rain clouds of misery and doubt. And as much as I am enough, it would never be safe, or it would never sate their hunger for more. So at the same time, black joy is also rare because the mainstream media would rather focus on black pain. And in my post, I have some links related to that. I will share the link to my post so that you can go in and see some of the calls for black joy. So I found by writing that post, I was able to have a little bit of catharsis over it. It doesn't mean that I've forgotten the war that we're in. It doesn't mean I've forgotten any of the people out on the front lines fighting for change, fighting very actively for change, nor the people who are on the keyboard behind the scenes also trying to enact change. I realize for me, the lane of protesting that I'm most effective in is through music, is through artistry. So that post meant a lot to me to share it, but also it was a healing thing for myself to be an act of kindness for myself. Um, so that's the link later if you want. Yeah, the pandering. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Anto, for that response in chat. So as I said, I breathing. Breathing is the other thing that I've had to remind myself to do through all of this. Breathing and taking a moment and respecting that when I need those moments. But I have some new technology to help me with the backing tracks, and I want to make up a song. I want to get some input through the chat, the Zoom chat that you have there, and give me some positive words or positive phrases, and I'm going to use that to build up my song. And if I can get the share music operated, please. Healing, thank you. Thank you, Salva. I'll get a couple of words if you don't mind. Congruence, nice. All right, I'm sharing sound. Praise, thank you.
Healing, 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 healing,
Voice.
healing,
Voice.
healing,
Voice.
healing, voice.
I'm all very new to the looping thing, so I'm having patience in this moment.
Healing, voice. 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 Healing, voice.
Ooh, I need to praise me.
Healing, voice. Healing, voice. Healing, voice. Healing, voice.
I'm gonna do another one. I'm gonna do it this way. Thank you. Let's get this. I apologize, everybody. I'm needing to take some time with this. This was working much better here. I'm going to go back to a track that was already worked, but I'm going to use these. Thank you for the grace to allow me to take time. I know I have time with this. Can you all hear harmony? All right, thank you. Harmony, harmony. We all need time. We all need grace. Together they help us find our special place. We need to listen to our higher self. That's the only way that we really can help. So praise yourself, take yourself out of that daily grind. You need to see your neighbors speaking the same mind, 'cause we need harmony, 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 harmony. When you raise your voice and you take an action, you're your higher self. You have to put all of that self-doubt up on the shelf. Stop trying to reach for something you don't need to be. You gotta keep yourself in harmony, harmony, harmony. I got stuck, I was trying to loop. I couldn't manage it, and so I scooped it. Let it be what it needs to be, 'cause sometimes it's our friend, sometimes it's evil technology. Harmony now. Oh, let me praise this whole community. You make it oh so free to flow and just to be. You create healing harmony. 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 Yeah. Do what you can to find your higher self and put the doubts that you have way up on the shelf. Harmony, harmony. All right, there's that one. Thank you.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yes.
Love it.
Thank you.
Are you good? You want to do another one or?
You know what? I thought that I had this technology down. It just means I have some homework. So,
Okay.
so I'm good. I'm good. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. Well, that was fantastic. Thank you for that harmony, because we know the world needs harmony. Fantastic, bro. It's exactly what we need right now. Love, peace, and harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything you want to share with us about where we can find your work? Or
Oh
what you're
yeah,
doing
sure.
now?
I'm all over social media. I have a Monday show called the Nooner Crooner. It's at noon, and I do improvised songs. It's a brunch of improvised songs. You can find me there. I'm doing a couple of shows this week on Instagram. One is Monday night through the Glad Day bookstore. Another one is through a personal page that somebody's run up. I have in my first post, I have FreeFlow Showcase, of course, in there, and then I have the other tags. Yeah, this is primarily where you'll find me. If you want to send me a chat, then we can also connect that way.
Beautiful. Thank you
Oh
for
yeah,
that.
and the Black Legal Action Center. It's, you know, people are coming to me, of course, as the voice of reason and as a dictionary of resources. So this is just one of many that people can go and support.
Okay, cool. You want to tell us a little bit more about the Black History Legal Fund?
No.
Are you said
I'm
no?
not
Did
a
you say no?
I'm not a representative. It is one of the many
Okay.
resources that I found on my own path.
Okay, so that's what you choose. Okay, that's perfect. I'm glad that the fact you're highlighting that. People can do a bit of research and learn more about that. That's
Yeah.
great. So thank you for that. Thank you for that, um, Velvet. That's fantastic. So one more time, let's give it up for Velvet. Give a show of hands and give us some love and respect. You know, it's awesome that you're here with us today, and Velvet's been part of our community now for a few weeks, and it's just really good to see the regulars coming through on a regular basis and showing the love and supporting us, because it's all about building a community and giving us some solace in this time of COVID. We are in the age of COVID, ladies and gentlemen. We are living with a coronavirus, and nothing has changed. Sorry, everything has changed, and nothing will be the same. We can no longer go to the way the world was before. Thank you for everyone for coming out and to being part of this fantastic show. It's always good to see familiar faces here. We got Taylor here, as always, showing us some love. We got Riza here, always showing us some love. We got C to Cecilia here, showing us some love. We got Silva here. They're here showing us some love. Shavar's here. Love it. Walter Thomas, you're here. Fantastic. Let's keep it up. Let's go. It's such a nice, wonderful place to be. And I know that myself and the other producers here are really happy to be able to put on the show weekly. It just means so much for us to see people coming in with their talent and sharing what they have on their minds and in their hearts. And it's important. It's important. It's an important platform, and we're happy to be doing it. It's great. So I just want to share some stuff with you now. This is my turn to take the stage. So I'm just gonna share with you some of the feelings and emotions I've been going through in the last week or so, and what I've been dealing with. Yeah. So it's been an interesting week. This has probably been one of the most challenging weeks of my life, anyways, in terms of the intersections of different aspects of my life and what I'm doing. So many of you know that I'm working with the Green Party and I'm doing stuff there. Many of you know that I'm working with the Free Flow and Gallery 1017 and doing work there. And many of you know that I am a Rasta, and that's who I am in terms of my culture, my Jamaican heritage and my African roots. It's just crazy what's going on right now, and a lot of this is part of my education, in the sense that we've sort of seen this mess coming for a while, and we've been trying to like do our best to get prepared in terms of diet and education and whatnot. So I'm just gonna go over some thoughts and ideas that I've had recently in the last week or two. I'll share with you that yesterday I was part of Free Flow. I was part of Flow Fridays with Aisha, Soul Sister Aisha, and we had a wonderful discussion. We talked about the events that have been going on and how people are dealing with it, and it was really illuminating and really inspiring, because people had a lot to say and people were really patient and people were ready to listen. And I think that's what was most that struck me the most about yesterday, was how people were really ready and willing to listen. And I know Anto shared that with us earlier, how he felt that this is a time for listening, and that we really need to listen to each other and hear what we have to say and share information. So I just want to share with you a little bit of information that I shared yesterday. A lot of that has been stuff that I've learned. I went to university and I studied history and economics. And as a Rasta, I have my opinions on certain things. So I'm going to touch on some topics of race relations, diversity, inclusion, police brutality, white supremacy, and then talk about the COVID pandemic and how it touches our lives, and then going to how I feel that this is an opportunity for new view. So basically, with race relations, it's a scam, ladies and gentlemen. We're being told a story that we don't have to listen to anymore, because there's only one race. We're the human race. We are 99.9% identical in terms of genetic material. There's no difference between us. The only difference is by the color, the darkness of our skins, or the broadness of our noses, because of depending on how much heat we had to develop, or we had to grow up with our ancestors. So we are the same, and I think that race is an outdated concept that we must analyze and decide if we want to continue going forward and using it, because it's not helping. Because I look at these wonderful faces here and I see that, and I know that we're all the same in terms of how we think and how we breathe and what our fears are and what our dreams and hopes are, and the stuff that we've had to deal with growing up in terms of maturing and finding our ways and becoming a man or a woman. We're all the same. So let's please understand that we're the human race, and not try to divide ourselves into geography, because that doesn't help. When it comes to diversity and inclusion and police, and we're making strides in our society, but there's a lot more we can do. I know that, for example, in the Green Party, we are the least diverse of all the political parties. The People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier's party out of Quebec, they are more diverse than we are. So as a major political party, we have a lot of work to do, but we're making efforts on that era, in that front. And we have a new ED who's from Indian background. We have myself and Kieran Azone and Victoria Galley. We've been elected to the Federal Council of the Green Party, which is a major decision-making party of the Green Party. So their diversity is on its way, but diversity includes all equity-seeking groups: women, indigenous peoples, LGBTQ+, people of color, people with disabilities, etc. I can go on and on and on. We are all the same, and we should all be represented in everything that we do in terms of our social structure, and especially our politics. So pay attention to that, because change will happen soon enough. I just want to share with you something that Haile Selassie said in terms of human race. In the history of the human race, those periods which later appeared as great have been periods when the men and the women belonging to them had transcended the differences divide them, and had recognized in their membership in the human race as a common bond. That's what I meant about, we're all being part of the human race, and there's no difference between us. In terms of police brutality, it's an unfortunate situation right now in the world, and we must understand that the police are an organization that was created not to benefit us, but to benefit the ruling class. The system isn't broken; it was built this way. Those are one of the chants I heard yesterday quite a bit on the march. I went to the march yesterday, and I was quite happy that I was there, to tell you the truth. And one of the chants that we kept hearing was, "The system isn't broken; it was built that way." The police force, they were designed to protect the interests of the wealthy and the ruling class and the landowners. And then when slaves would run away from their owners, it was the police job to bring them back. So they're not there to protect just and serve us. So let's not expect that. What we need to do is reorganize the police so they're more in line with our needs right now. And for example, we don't need men with guns and tasers and batons to go into a home to deal with a mental health issue. We need psychologists and healthcare workers to do that. And that's what we mean about defund the police. We don't want to eliminate the police, because, well, that's not going to happen. But defunding means taking some of the money that we put into policing and put it into community resources. That's what defund the police means. And we have to understand that in order to build, we're going to have to uh, we have to take apart. We're going to have to unlearn to learn, and we're going to have to destruct to construct a new society. So those are just some thoughts that we want to think about that. And anyways, I just thought about George Floyd there for a second, but I'll come back to that in a second. When we talk about white supremacy, it's a disease that needs to be eradicated. It's like the virus is going on right now. It's an idea that's been supported by POTUS, the President of the United States of America. That is horrible. That is one of the most dangerous things going on right now to the American society, and it needs to stop. Rights and premise attitudes have no place in our society, and we need to walk back on that, and the people realize that we're all the same, and there's no need for anyone to feel that they have to elevate themselves above another person. I'm deciding just how much to shots, but it's important to realize that white supremacy is based on a fallacy. It's the thought that whites are higher than blacks on the evolutionary scale, because back when Darwin was coming up with this illusion of evolution of the species, it was a common thought in European societies in the 1800s that Africans and Americans were just recently evolved from primates, from apes, and therefore that we could subjugate them to slavery to justify their economic system in order to build their society. So further on, when we had lived and people growing up in the United States and in the South, it's just an act of control where they needed to control their workforce. And so the brutal oppression and violence was one of their tactics. But there's no room for that anymore. We have to evolve past that. We have to understand that society, that Africa is the cradle of civilization. Civilization was created and was propagated in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, where the ancient Egyptians, the Kemets, and the Ethiopians, who were dark-skinned people, were building pyramids and using science and astronomy way before the Europeans had the Renaissance. I mean, science and technology was being used in ancient Egypt in 2300 BC. That's 4,000 years before the Renaissance in the 1500s. Okay, that's a long time, and we have to understand that in terms of history, know your facts and know how we evolved on this planet, because then we can squash some of the lies that are being propagated, especially when it comes to white supremacy. Okay, and just moving forward, COVID is a chance for us to realize that our system is based on inequalities, and these inequalities are hurting us right now. It's affecting the poor, the elderly, and people of color disproportionately. And we see that in terms of the areas of the city which are mostly affected by COVID-19. The northeast of Scarborough and the northwest of Etobicoke are concentrated mostly with the disease right now, and that's because that's where a lot of the poor colored people are working. And we have to reorganize our society because we cannot continue the way it is. We have an opportunity to reset things and to provide a basic income for people so they can live day to day, to provide paid sick leave for people who are working, long hours and long days, to provide better care for our long-term care facilities, because our elderly needs to be looked after, and we have to give them the support they need, the financial community support. So I know that's a lot to digest right now, but I just wanted to share that with you in terms of food for thought and ideas to think about. And I want to share a thought that I heard the other day. Desmond Cole said, voting is just as important as protesting. We can protest all we want, but when it comes time to choose leaders, we have to vote. And that's one of the reasons why I'm aligned with the Green Party right now, and why I'm supporting Annamie Paul to be the new leader of the Green Party of Canada. For those of you who don't know, Annamie Paul is a Black woman born in Toronto. Her parents are from Caribbean descent. She grew up here. She's one of us. She has a law degree from Ottawa EU and a master's in public administration from Princeton University. And she lived in the EU for a while, so she's really well educated worldwide in worldly affairs. So she's running to be the leader of the Green Party right now. that is a fantastic opportunity in terms of change and a message that can be sent to Canadians, Ontarians, and people all over the world to see a strong, intelligent Black woman running a major political party. That's the kind of change that we can have right now, ladies and gentlemen. So, and I just want to put on another quote that I heard, which really resonated with me, is that evil is allowed to exist when good people do nothing. Evil is allowed to exist when good people do nothing. And it's important for us to stand up and to unite and speak our truth and let our voices be heard about what we feel is right and what we have to do in order to change things. And if you want to do something, I just want to put it out there. Just put it out there. I'd like you to volunteer for Anime May's campaign. Anime Paul is running a fantastic campaign. She's running to be the leader of the Green Party. If you want to do something, just here's an opportunity. And my favorite quote, I'll leave you with this from Gandhi: be the change that you wish to see. I know there's a lot going on. I know it's really difficult to absorb all the pain and the fear and the anxiety we're feeling. But if there's one thing that you can change, is that yourself. You can change the way you perceive things. You can change the way you understand things by educating and getting involved. So what's guided me over the years is that I really try hard to be the change that I want to see in society. So I know that was a lot to digest, but I think that we're here to share information. We're here to share knowledge. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. And if anybody has something that they want to share, please do. We're going to have an opportunity coming up with Aisha. She's going to lead a discussion. I know that we have another Aisha Wood is going to be having another discussion about her personal experiences. I'm really looking forward to that because she's got a lot of really great things to share. This is a tough time. These are trying. I'm going to say it again. We're living through quarantine, ladies and gentlemen. We are living through quarantine, and we are living through fire and brimstone going through the United States of America right now. Who knew that this was going to happen? But we're here, and this is our chance to do something because, in a sense, our parents went through this in the 60s. The revolutions of the 60s and the 70s, when there was the women's movement, there was the gay movements, there was the Black movement, there was the anti-nuclear movement, there was every moment going on. But what it was that people from all walks of life, Black, yellow, white, purple, green, were uniting and saying, no, we don't want to live this kind of world. This is what we want our kids and our children to grow up in. And they advocated for that. And I think this is our chance to do the same, because we're not kids anymore, and this isn't Kansas. This isn't your grandmother's Toronto. This isn't your grandpapa's world anymore. Things have changed. This is our world, and we're gonna have to deal with it for better or for worse. So I'm really glad that we're here. We have this wonderful community. We've got Anto here, we've got Annie here, we've got Ashley here, we've got Daniel here, we've got Aisha here, the producers of the show, and everyone else who's been coming through. And it's just been wonderful to create a space where we can share our opinions, be mindful and respectful of others, and just to be here for each other, you know. I'm going to turn it over now to our next performer, who I think is Aisha. Is it Aisha? Someone tell me if I'm wrong.
It's Aisha, just Aisha. Aisha, yeah.
Okay, beautiful.
I wasn't sure what Aisha is. Aisha Solstice or me, Aisha?
You Aisha.
Me, Aisha. Okay. Okay. So I don't know. This is a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. You know, this has been a pretty difficult week, and you know, a pretty difficult thing to face. Something that I really dealt with a lot of racism growing up as a child, as I was trying to identify as who I was as a person in a all-white redneck town with a single white mother. And, you know, what I just want to express here with everyone is that, if, really one big takeaway I'm getting from this is it's really important for us to just listen, but to also ask, like say, like, reach out to your friend and just say, especially the friends that you think are the strongest, because they're silent or standing back in the corner or what have you, because it's a time for everyone to be heard and seen and recognized as part of the healing process. I know a lot of people are going through everything when it comes to racism, and I know for myself, I had this magical way of adjusting myself to blend in to the matrix of, I guess this is just how, this is life, and I'm gonna have to just accept that I'm always going to be not as good as someone else based on my skin tone. And growing up, that was really driven into my head. I've been doing a lot of reflection today. And I'll take you back to just one story because I don't want to talk too long. But this is where it all began. So I came onto this world, into this planet, full of love and expression and wanting to share my love. And, my mom did a pretty good job of protecting me when it came to the idea of racism. But going to a public school, I remember this day just walking in, first foot forward into a classroom, and everyone stopping and just looking at me because I had like an afro and I had dark skin, and being pointed and laughed and teased, and that from that day after, I never wanted to go to school again. And of course I was forced to, and every day it was torture for me. And it wasn't just my peers, but it was my teachers, and right up until the day I left Perth. It got a little bit better, ironically, when I was in high school, because my generation became more evolved, but as children they were being told all these things from the older generation, like Black people are horrible, and to the point where just so many stories. And so I'm kind of scrambled. So I feel, to get my point across, is just the healing comes from sharing a story and listening, and like actively listening, because I feel that I've spent a lot of my life being just not heard and overlooked. When I was in an all-white town, it was, she's the colored different person. So like I couldn't even get a job as a teenager. No one would hire me. Teachers would always, try to undermine my intelligence, even though I was like super, super great in school. And I always felt like I always had to try really hard to prove myself, because, and it's sad. And I really am grateful that we're starting to talk about this today. And I hope this isn't just a thing that's like, oh, it's over in a month, because I want the children that are being born into this world now to not have to go through all the crap that I had to experience growing up and trying to figure out who I am and what is, and I had one of two choices. I had a choice to be angry and hate life and hate the world around me, because I was being teased and bullied, and, to the point where the neighbors would set their dogs loose on me when I'm 6 because they don't want me in their neighborhood. To, taking that in as my identity, or rising above it and just being like, I am love and I'm here for a reason. And although it's been challenging to get to this point of where I am now today, I don't look back and I'm not like, poor me. It's only made me stronger, wiser, and I know how much it hurts to be discounted or treated differently based on your skin tone. And I just really want to educate everyone about what it feels like, and work together as a community, and just change the future, because enough's enough. And I want to just leave it open to anyone who wants to connect. If anyone has a story that they want to share, and like, I'm here to listen, and I'm here to just talk. Just talking and active listening is, I think, a way to get to the root of what's happening in everyone. And when you're oppressed your entire life and told that your voice doesn't matter and you are less than, it's really hard as an adult to think otherwise. And that's one thing. I've been doing a lot of self-work, especially during this quarantine. I've been doing a lot of self-healing to get myself to a level of being like, you know what, like, all these wounds that I've been shoving under the rug and just kind of ignoring are coming up, and I just need to face them, sit with them, and let them heal. And I really feel that all of America and all of the world is just, they're based on racism. Like, I question humans as a species. Like, why are we that dumb? Like, not dumb, but like, why do we have such closed, narrow points of view that we're going to be like, oh, because you look different than me, I'm going to judge you? Like, the beauty in life is that we all are diverse and different, and we all have something different to offer. And it would just be boring if we were all exactly the same, like. So I'm just thinking about humans in general and trying not to get angry or upset, and just kind of, I'm really still just processing a lot that's been happening with me today. And I just want to say to everyone that is speaking up and saying, enough is enough, it means so much. And, this is the first time, I think, ever that I felt like I was really part of something, because I never felt like I was a part of anything, like community wise. I never felt part of any kind of community. I would be in communities, but I was always like the different one, or like the, not seen or overlooked. So thank you everyone for being here and listening to me.
Aisha, thank you for that. Thank you for being so vulnerable and so honest. And I really like what you said yesterday. For those of you who don't know, we were on Flow Friday yesterday with Aisha's show, and Aisha shared a similar story. But what really struck me is how she got through it, and how she persevered, and she focused on just being the best person that she can be. And then she said she got the hell out of Dodge. But the point is that she didn't let all these negative influences and bad experiences, weigh her down and suppress her spirit. She worked hard to become a stronger person and to be the best person that she could be. And that's a very inspiring story, and I really love that story. And I think that we can, use that as inspiration to just be the best people that we can be. So I like what you said about how we're just so dumb that we look at race and we, why are we so different and blah, blah, blah. How come you're different? It's true. We're like 6-year-olds in kindergarten. It's like, why do, the world is so much better because we are different, because there's infinite possibility of human there's like the combination of the genomes and people, and one person from Africa meeting someone from Hawaii and they make a baby, and then one person from New Zealand meets someone from South America and they make a baby. It's beauty. That's how God created us, and that's how he wanted us to be. And the differences are what make us strong and what makes the world so interesting. You know, you're walking down the street and there's one of every different person walking by you, and you're like, yo, this is great. I love being in the city, you know? But one of my personal viewpoints of this is that this is an opportunity, and this is a period of evolution of the human race on this planet. If you read some books, there people are speaking about how consciously we as humanity is evolving. We are evolving. We're becoming more empathetic and more aware of our differences and learning how to get along and how to live with each other. And our systems are being part of that. I mean, you know, democracy is how we govern ourselves here in the Western world, and it's not perfect, but it's working. And we have our economic system called capitalism, and it's not perfect, but it's driving us to hell. So we have to get rid of it, or we have to modify it. Okay, and we have our legal system, which we use to organize and control each other. It's not perfect, but it's throwing way too many Black kids and Black girls and Indigenous men and Indigenous women into jails. So we have to rework it, and we need to evolve. As humans, we are evolving, and we live and we learn. We have a saying in Jamaica, through the Rastafaris and other people: you live, you learn. As we live together on this planet together, we are learning about what works and what doesn't work. So let's just keep moving forward, going forward, and just keep learning as we go. And this is one of those periods. So let's just keep learning. Let's just keep moving. Let's just keep going forward. Let's just keep becoming better people. Again, I just want to reiterate and say thank you, Aisha, for sharing your story. I want everyone to know that we have the open mic coming up after this, and it's going to be an opportunity for people to jump in to share. But before that, we're going to have a discussion. We're going to wait till our other performers perform. We have a poet coming up who's going to share some amazing viewpoints and introspective feelings. And we have comedy coming up and with some music. And I think it's an opportunity then for these performers to work with everyone else. And let's have a wonderful discussion. Let's have a discussion. Let's hope it's wonderful, but let's have a discussion. So we're gonna have a discussion after the performance. We're gonna talk about the issues that is going on with George Floyd, and I haven't even said her name yet. Regis Kominsky. What's her last name? Shout it out, somebody. Okay.
Korchinski Paquette.
Paquette. Thank you. Thank you. It's such a hard name because it's so complicated. But we must speak our truth. We must share with each other, and let's share about how we feel about what's going on in our city. Okay. So coming up next, we have an amazing poet, Chris Bautista. He is, I would call him a friend now because I met him a few months ago. He was performing, he did perform, but he was rehearsing a play at Gallery 1017. I think it was called The Negroes Are Congregating. Just a wonderful, hard-hitting, very contemporary play based on what's going on. So he's going to share that probably later because he's not here yet. Okay, so then am I going to have to sing and dance?
It might be a good time for the discussion now.
For the discussion? Okay. All right, so let's have that discussion. So we've all been here in Toronto. We've been paying attention to social media. We've been watching the news. We saw what happened to George Floyd. We've seen what's happened to people jogging in their neighborhood. We've seen what happened to people birding in Central Park. We've seen what happened to a young woman having a distressful evening at home in her apartment with her family, and then the police are called in. We've seen what happened to another young man in northwest Toronto having issues in his home, and then the police are called in. It just goes on and on and on. And where does it end? Where does it end? And we just need to talk about that and discuss it, because we've seen a lot of protests. We've seen a lot of response to that. Some of it violent, a lot of it peaceful, but a strong message has been sent to our leaders and to our society that we're not okay with this. This is not acceptable. What we saw going on is not acceptable, because we can't have a police force that's there to protect and to serve us killing another man in broad daylight. That can't happen. It should not happen. And we need to talk about that and really hold space for what happened. And then we have to think about how we can fix that, and we can transform and move forward. Whether that means, like we talked about, defunding the police force, or reorganizing our society in terms of how we govern and how we police ourselves. It comes down to everyday choices that we make. And I mean, this is a little poem that I wrote the other day. It's not much of a poem, but just some thoughts. I mean, 9 minutes in broad daylight. 9 minutes in broad daylight. They killed him in 9 minutes in broad daylight. It wasn't a minute. It wasn't 2 minutes. It was 9 minutes. And it was broadcasted. And this is in front of people on the street, when people are coming to his aid and saying he's pleading for his breath. He can't breathe, you know? This is the worst possible death for a human being, because we breathe air and we require oxygen. He was suffocating. That knee was being pressed on his neck and he couldn't breathe. And he cried out for his mother. He cried out for his mother. Why? Because she's the last person who he knew who would be there for him. It wasn't his brother. It wasn't his best buddy in the car. It wasn't some dude bystander. It was his mother, because he knew his mother would feed him, would care him, would clothe him and look after him. But no, this police officer did not listen. He was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. What threat was he to anyone at that stage? Anyways, 9 minutes in broad daylight. This occurred over 9 minutes in broad daylight. Okay. I want to open up the floor to anybody else who has something to say. And take your time, reflect. There's no rush.
I'd like to actually add something about the police brutality.
Sure, go ahead.
That's another thing. Like, not all police officers are bad, but I don't know. I used to recommend everyone watch this by J.P. Sears. He usually does comic skits and stuff, but it really highlighted the way they're trained to just, I was having this discussion earlier with a friend, they're being brainwashed and trained to not think for themselves, and but also they have, they should not be doing the work they do if they are so damaged inside themselves. They need to do the work internally and should not be around trying to protect people, because they don't even know what that means, because they're so damaged inside. You have to be, in order to be that brutal. That brutal towards another human is just disgusting. And we need to highlight that, the whole hiring system, the training system to become a police officer. Because if you have insecurity issues and you're have like some kind of ego complex. Like, you should not be working that job. You know, it's just plain and simple.
100%. I like what you said about their training. The hiring, first of all, people are drawn into law enforcement because of the power structure. It's a power trip in a sense, but their training has a lot to do with it, in the fact that I don't think that our police officers are taught enough about how to de-escalate a situation, and they're trained to shoot before they discuss and to negotiate. I mean, if someone's holding a knife and they're 10 feet away from you, how is your life in danger? So you're going to shoot to kill them? And if you come to a situation, you understand that someone is in a state of mental distress, you're gonna talk to them as if they're lucid and as if they're a threat to you. No, you're gonna have to speak to them in a different way, and that's why we need mental health professionals and social workers to respond to domestic situations. Not a heavily armed police officer who might as well be a paramilitary officer. And that's what we mean by reorganizing and defunding the police and putting resources into other sectors. And you're right, Aisha, training is a big part of that. It's a big part of that. We need to reorganize the police and train them differently, because they're going to continue with their heavy-handed and heavy-kneed and big-booted ways. You know, our police officers walk around with guns, with tasers, and with batons. Why? Who are they protecting? Who's after them? You know, you can just use your radios and coordinate and arrest and apprehend a person nowadays. You know, the bobbies in England don't use guns. You know, they use intelligence and coordination. So there is a lot that needs to happen. Would anyone like to say something?
Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, also, as far as training is concerned, the police are not trained to deal with racialized minorities specifically, and that's another problem. Even racialized minority police officers. And I mean, I've had specific incidents happen to me where they did this to me, and they brought me to a hospital to fix me up for something they did to me. What are they doing to a black man?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That was in 1995. Now it's 2020. What are they doing to black men? And you see it all the time. And it's not just about that they're ill trained. They're not trained to deal with people that just don't fit a certain mold. And that's another problem. And why are police being called for distress calls like that, mental health issues? You know, I had the police called on me once. No, you call somebody who can help with that issue, not the police.
Exactly.
They're over involved and they're undertrained and they don't know how to deal with people who don't fit a specific mold, and that can change.
Okay. Anyone else would like to say something?
Yeah, absolutely. I can.
Go ahead.
Just on your point there about police being called to mental distress.
We can barely hear you, Aisha.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
A little better.
That's so weird. Okay, so the thing with police being called when there's an issue with mental distress, the reason why this is happening right now at an increased level is because of COVID, and because they are currently not really sending a lot of mental health practitioners to people's houses. So there's kind of like this overarching issue with COVID combined with the racial relations as well. So that's something it's a problem, and it's causing a lot of distress for a lot of us who are already dealing with our own issues. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, but there's also paramedics at the same time too. Like that's who I called paramedics. And I feel like the police didn't have to come, but somebody else decided to call the police. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, I'm not a black man. If a black man is called, or a black woman, we just, you know, like they treat it very differently. And they were very like cold and dismissive and rude to me. I can't imagine how they would be to other people. You know, I mean,
I hear you. And
it's
it's only recently because of cameras and our smartphones that we've been able to record what's been going on. Imagine to all the thousands of other interactions that are not being recorded. But we know this. We know that this is nothing new. That's been going on for decades now. So it's just great that we're able to record and hold people accountable. And that's another step that we need is accountability in terms of police officers not being investigated by other police officers. The Special Investigations Unit is not really it's not really hands off. It really is police officers investigating other police officers, and that doesn't help. That needs to be better. We need better oversight, better accountability. Police officers, if they commit something, they should not be suspended with pay. No, you took somebody's life, you physically harmed somebody. No, you get a 5-minute misconduct penalty. You go sit in your corner for 5 minutes or more and think about what you did to this person. You really hurt this person. You should not be able to sit at home and watch TV, flip channels. Oh, I'm suspended, with pay. No, more accountability, more control, and people understanding that they have the right to protect people's lives and not hurt them. Does anybody else have something to say? Ashley? Can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like the word accountability, that is like just so fucking perfect. I love that. And I'll just share, like, like in general, like I was talking to a friend of mine a couple days ago, and I was like, I'm starting to see people acknowledge each other more in the street.
Awesome.
Where they're like looking at each other in the eye, and they're looking for that understanding in the heart, through the eyes, and I see that, and that like where it's like we're always avoiding it. We don't want to look at each other, and I say we. I'm not speaking like I, because we are we, and we're all in this together. So I'm saying we because like all these issues affect all of us, and anyway, so like today I got on the bus today, and this guy was like trying to get off the bus, and this woman, and I'm not gonna say whatever color they were because it doesn't matter to me at this point. I mean, that doesn't matter to me at this point, the specific situation. And anyway, so the guy was like freaking out because the girl who was trying to get in wasn't giving him enough space, and instead of like talking to her consciously or like saying, hey, look, like for next time, like can you please just like have your eyes open because you're invading my space and you might do this to another person, and I just want to bring some consciousness to that, and instead of that, it was like he flipped on her and was like, you fucking idiot, and just walked off. And he didn't even like say it to her face. Like he didn't even say, you fucking idiot to her face. Like it was just like this thing that he could get away with, with his privilege kind of thing, and or just like people like sorry, I'm learning as I talk, right? So I just like I ask for patience and non-judgment as I'm learning. I really, really appreciate that. But I just like, it stopped me in my tracks. Like I was just like, no, we don't talk to each other like that. We are fucking humans. We fucking do not, I didn't say fucking, I say fucking now because I'm like getting all like worked up, but like, I was just like, we don't talk to each other like that. We are humans. We talk to each other with humanity, with love and respect. We don't tell each other to go fuck themselves or call each other a fucking idiot. Like we don't do that. No, we don't do that. And I made it like, it's not like I did it on purpose to be loud, but now when I look back at it, it was like it was on purpose to be loud because I needed, or like God needed, or whatever, needed other people to see or to set an example of like, hey, look, I see you. What you're doing is not okay. It's still not okay what you're doing. And I see you. And it's like accountability. It's like calling people out. And it wasn't like I wasn't being a bitch or I didn't call him, I didn't use like the same words against him. I just called him out in front of people. And what did he do? He did nothing. He got really red in his face. He's just like, and he ran off as fast as he could because he was embarrassed, you know? And that's the thing, is like people say shit, they think they can just say whatever the fuck they want. And because like nobody fucking says anything. Nobody fucking says anything. People just say whatever the fuck they want, and people just sit there, and we sit there and we feel our blood boiling, and we feel this like comfortability, and we don't say shit. We just sit there and we just accept it. And we're just like, okay, next time I'll say something, or maybe I'll go and complain about it to my friend, or like tell them about it, or like whatever. But in the moment, like nobody is sticking up for anybody. And then that needs to stop. And I feel like this movement and like this coming to the light is allowing people to actually have a voice now, to say, actually, like my voice actually has value if I say something, and if I notice something, and if I do it publicly. Because what do people care most about?
Reputation.
Yeah.
Think of them.
What do people care most about? They care about their ego. They care about how they're looked at, how they're perceived, who's judging them. Oh my God, I don't want to offend anybody, you know? But if we start holding each other accountable and calling each other out for shit, then we can see a difference, you know? Because then it's like we're publicly not shaming them. We're just bringing the truth of the experience to the light, to say, look, this is happening. This needs to stop. This is not okay. I see what you're doing, and it's still not okay.
Yes. Thank you, sister. That's exactly, yeah.
That's all I want to say. I don't mean to like, I love you guys all so much. I'm really grateful for everybody here. And I just like, I get like, I'm getting worked up because I witnessed this, and we all witness this regularly, and nobody ever says anything. And why? Because people say, if you were to ask them why, they'd be like, oh, I'm a peacekeeper. I want to keep the peace. That's not peace. That's fucking trauma. That's turmoil. That's blindly choosing to look the other way. It's blindly choosing to not stand for actually what is right. You're choosing to not do something, you know? And I feel for you. I feel for that feeling of like helplessness, of like that comes from like a systemic as well, like just like being like that we don't matter, you know, that like our voice doesn't fucking matter, you know, and like nobody's voice matters. No, you know, we just have to follow the rules, you know, whatever the scientists say, the facts, this and that, or whatever. And if we don't, and I feel for that because it's like people don't want to be abandoned by their God. They don't want to be abandoned by which is like their other humans, right? Because we're brothers.
Thank you, actually. Thank
Sorry,
you.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
That's good. That's good. No, it's really important for you to say that. And I like the fact that you came out and touched on accountability, because we really have to hold each other accountable to our actions and our deeds, and even our non-deeds, you know. We're each other's brothers and sisters, and we have to learn from each other, and we can't be afraid to say, hey, that's not acceptable. The way you spoke to that woman or that man is not acceptable. You should apologize, or be more considerate, or please get up and let this lady have the seat. We have to hold each other accountable. It's
or
so
even people who like have a voice more than other people too. Like this is a really good point as well.
Yeah.
Like use your fucking voice.
Definitely.
I'll tell you now, like if a black guy or like whatever like stands up and he has fear in his heart because of his experiences in the past or whatever, and he wants to do the right thing, he's gonna go to jail for that shit, and that's not okay either. You know, like that's wrong. You know, so it's like
it's definitely wrong. It's definitely wrong. Okay, so does anyone else have something they want to add to this discussion?
I'd love to chime in.
Yeah, chime in, Chris. It's here, brother.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. I was just listening to you, Ash, and I really, there were a lot of things that you were saying that resonated with me, specifically about my journey today, right? Like I had a very interesting day today. I was on my way to this drum shop, and I'm driving, and I'm almost there. I'm on Bathurst, and I'm just like pulling up to like a stop sign or a light, and then I hear yelling from behind me. I know I hear the motorcycle. That's the first thing I heard, and it was like revving up. It was like yo yo. It was like an aggressive rev, and like I just felt this energy, and something told me like turn around, and I see this motorcycle just pull up to the left side, the driver's side of this truck, and I'll say what everybody looked like. The guy in the motorcycle was white, and the guy in the truck was black. And the guy in the motorcycle was just like hitting the side window, like hitting it and like da 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 da. And it looked like it was really getting ready to escalate into a situation. I was like, what? But like in that instance, like I already felt what was going on in that situation. This man, to me, as soon as I saw his body language, the eye contact that he was making with it, and his tonality, I was like, this guy's mad about something so much more than whatever just happened between these two. And so I'm like, no hesitation, pull over. I pull over. When I pulled over and I got out the truck's way, the truck started driving forward, and then the motorcycle was getting ready to follow him. But then I rolled down the window. I just stuck my head out the window, and I said, hey, man. And he like took his attention off this over here and just said, yeah, man, that guy almost hit me, man. That guy almost fucking hit me. And I was like, but are you okay? And then he looked at me, and it was like it instantly disarmed him. Instantly. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm okay. But man, I fucking lost a leg. You know, he lost, and he pulled up his shit, and he had a prosthetic leg. He lost a leg on a motorcycle accident, right? And what I saw in that situation was like, I perceived it originally when I saw that flash. I was like, man, he's mad because he feels like, I don't know, power slipping away or whatever. Maybe it was a little bit of that as well, right? But the guy really did lose a leg, and he was probably really triggered over this guy that almost hit him because he ran a red light, right? But whatever was going on, it wasn't worth him ripping off this guy's side window. And the reason why I specifically wanted to say that to you, Ash, is because that is behavior that I've been doing my entire adult life, ever since I was in the Marine Corps. I'm from the States, right? And so when you say nobody, words like nobody says anything, I don't want to police anybody on here, but I would just encourage you to consider whether or not that nobody is you or people that are in your circle, right? And I mean that with love, right? Because the last relationship that I was in, it was with a paramedic. I know somebody brought up a paramedic, right? And the reason why I'm bringing this in without getting too personal about it, but I'm about to get real. I was in a relationship with a non-Black woman, a white woman, and she was a paramedic, and her paramedic partner would say racist jokes, you know, and it was really hard for her to step up and say something because not because she didn't feel like she had a voice, because she wanted to be liked, you know, and she didn't want to piss off the relationship with her friend, right? And so I don't want to sit here and say that everybody doesn't want to be liked or everybody feels like they don't have a voice, and I think that we have to be very careful when we speak in absolutes, right? Because there are a lot of different reasons why people do the things they do, right? And same girlfriend went to her father's house, and his best friend had a Confederate flag. This is in Beamsville, Ontario. What the fuck are you doing with the Confederate flag? And I'm from Texas. I see Confederate flags down there all the time, right? But you have a Confederate flag in this place. And what's crazy about it is he told me to go upstairs to this pinball machine, right? I go upstairs to the pinball machine, and I'm in this barn. I didn't see the Confederate flag at that point. He's like, make sure you go see the pinball machine. Make sure you go see the pinball machine. I was like, okay, go see this shitty pinball machine. So I went up to the pinball machine, and I'm like, looking at this pinball machine. There's no lights on it. It's like the first pinball machine ever made, right? And I'm like, I wonder why he wanted me to look at this pinball machine. I was like, I don't care. And then I turn around to go down the stairs, and that's where the Confederate flag was, right? And then when I looked at it, I looked at my girlfriend at the time, who was looking at me to see my reaction, and then looking at him to look at his reaction. It was like this thing that everybody knew what was going on, but then in that situation, I was like, why the fuck would you bring me in this situation, you know? But she didn't say anything about it. I was the one that was inside of within a white space, right? There was nothing but white people there. And I was the one that had to say something. I had no choice but to say something, right? And so what's significant about what you said, Ash, is I have been screaming my entire life. And until last week, Saturday at the protest, I felt like nobody was listening. Now I feel like people are listening, and now sometimes people are even hearing, right? And so I'm not saying this to say that you're saying the wrong thing. I'm just saying that I understand what it's like to be using my voice and to have it not be heard. So if somebody says something like nobody's using their voice, oh, I'm loud and I use my voice, and I had to change the volume of my voice, right? And so I mean that with love and respect. And I just want to share that with you on that point.
Thank you, Chris. That was awesome.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so if you have a partner who is white and you are a person of color and they don't want to stand up for you and they don't want to use their privilege, then that's not it. Like, that's, you know.
That's why the relationship ended. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. You have a responsibility
For
yourself
sure. And
to
like,
that relationship.
Thank you, Chris.
I've been in like a relationship with a white guy, and like he was the type of person who thought that it was appropriate to rap the N-word, like when we first met. And it's just like, no, that's not it, you know? Like, these people who are just so ignorant from the jump, like, no, I'm not doing that to myself, and like no one should do that to themselves. Like, it's just so it pisses me the fuck off. Because like, why are you even getting involved with me if you think that that's appropriate?
Yeah, he obviously didn't get it.
No,
So
yeah,
Chris,
I didn't.
So Chris, on that note, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that. It really gave us some perspective in terms of speaking up and using your voice and screaming and not being, complacent, because as people were saying on the march yesterday, silence is violence. So I wonder if you'd like to share your poems with us right now, Chris. Hey? Or you're on mute.
So I have 3 poems that I'm going to share.
Okay.
They're very short. And the first one I wrote in 2012 on the 1-year anniversary of Trayvon Martin, his murder by George Zimmerman. And it was significant. It was a significant day, and it sticks out in my mind because it was my birthday. Trayvon Martin died on my birthday, and the next year, George Zimmerman still had not been indicted for his murder. Right? Wow. He still hadn't even been charged yet. So this poem just came out of me, right? And it's called Stars and Bars.
Okay.
Pigeonholed in 2 roles, it's even on the flag. That's all you get in the land of the free. Decide, rapper, athlete, actor, or reside in cell block 3. Stars and behind bars, young black man, that's all you ever be to me. You can't be a kid in a nice neighborhood, walking to 7-Eleven in a shirt with the hood. But when me and my good old boys throw on our sheets and cock our guns, click, clack, it's more than all good. But nope, not you. If you would, you'd obviously be up to no good. You can't buy Skittles and tea in this land of the free. It doesn't work that way, you see. It's not what Honest Abe meant when he proclaimed you free. You better get up off that knee. No way, no how. Not on my watch. That's it.
Nice. I like it.
I mean, it's I don't even know if that's coming from that was a 17-year-old boy with Skittles in Arizona tea in his hand, you know? And so for me, it's just like that came straight from somewhere that was not about me. That's not even, that's for him. And really what's significant about that poem is I never had really heard like that perspective, like that neighborhood watch perspective, that Amy Cooper in the park perspective, you know? And when you hear it like that, it's like, holy fuck, that's deplorable, you know what I mean? Like, who thinks like that? But how else would you act like that, you know, unless you were thinking like that, you know? And so the next poem that I'm going to share, I was formerly in the military, and I had a series of epiphanies, and I was in the United States Marines. And once I had my love relationship with the arts kind of rekindled, I discovered there was this split in my life as a Marine and my life as an artist. And eventually that split grew until it was no longer manageable and I left the military. And so this poem I wrote along that journey, it's called Shells in the Wind. Look at all those shells tossing in the wind. One pinch, 1 inch determines life or death, loss of breath. A father gone, a brother lost, forever to the sound of shots popped, filling the air with fear. I'm gonna start over.
Do it.
Yeah. Look at all those shells tossing in the wind. One pinch, 1 inch determines life or death, loss of breath. A father gone, a brother lost, forever to the sound of shots pops, filling the air where people once stood near. Now where? Nowhere. Feeling like no one understands, being haunted by thoughts. Can't even drive through traffic. It's tragic without constant flashbacks of children's limbs flying through the air, dissipating into the stench of burning hair, thick black smoke, consuming the minds of those who once wished to fulfill some false sense of duty. It's confusing, but truth be, war is nothing more but a racket to make rich men richer off poor men's blood, or maybe just habit. But let's not pretend those empty shells are casings, hearts still racing, no use waiting. Look at the dog tags, notify the next of kin, because those empty shells were once men. I was listening to the call earlier, and I heard someone, I don't know your name, but I think it was Aisha, maybe? Is that right?
Yeah, we have Aisha and we have an Aisha.
Okay. I think it was maybe Aisha, but she was speaking on police officers not all being bad. And
it was Aisha.
Aisha, okay. And she's right. They are trained. They are trained bad. They're trained badly, or they're trained really well. I should say that. They're trained really well to do not so great things, because I was trained like that, right? In the Marine Corps, instead of you going 1, 2, you're going kill, 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 kill. And it took me so long to shed all of that, right? To get rid of all of that aggression. It is really a process, and it's been a lot of healing for me to get past that. And part of that healing has been through my work, right? And I'm really fortunate that I've been able to work as an artist and have the privilege to engage in a lot of that healing, racially, culturally, spiritually, all of those things. But I think that what Aisha was chiming in on is, as much as these things need to be corrected, there is a certain amount of compassion that is going to be required in order to really correct them, right? Because we can change the de-escalation training. I don't see why we can't have rules of engagement if the military has rules of engagement when they go overseas, and there are consequences if you kill someone most of the time, right? I think that still won't do anything about the generation of police officers that exist now, and really getting them to deal with stripping down all that stuff. Because for me, it took a lot. Everything from meditation to yoga to art to plant medicines, all different sorts of things, right? And so I think that just starting from that place of compassion will because there's different arms to this, right? There's the protest arm, there's the voting arm, there's the riot arm, there's other different sorts of physical means that you can use, different methodologies that you can use to achieve the same goal. I think the question is, are we forgetting the hearts and minds, you know? And that is the crucial arm. If you really are going to implement change, you have to be able to capture those hearts and minds, you know?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks for sharing, bro. If I want to ask a personal question, where did you grow up? Which part of the States? Which state?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And how?
I'll let you do this, but the hearts and minds part is leading into the last poem, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have time, that's okay too.
No, if you got one more, you can do your one more, and then we'll move on to the next guest.
Okay, perfect. So the hearts and minds, that's this poem here, and this is about. I want to create something that affects people, that changes the way we think. There's a poison prevalent among the sons and daughters of Adam. Unless we embrace that poison with love, it will persist. The infection will increase. It will multiply. We got to observe, educate, embrace. That's the new cycle of change. Instead of pointing fingers or attacking, let's meet ignorance with loving truth and remove the access from its source, its core, or it will grow back. It will persist. We must start fresh, create, and then rebuild. That is why we imagine. Imagination fueled by love is the only solution. For too long, we've submitted to apathy out of comfort, convenience, and complacency. It's time to think about our thinking. Think about what we value as a global community of brothers and sisters. Not to merely focus on the problem, because that does nothing but propagate the problem. Observe, educate, embrace, and then imagine a new way to replace the old through the creation of a completely different narrative, a new paradigm, one based not on consumption, but on sustainability, one founded not on you against me or us against them. It's time to let competition become overshadowed by collaboration. It's time to let creativity overpower destruction. It is possible. We need only to imagine it. That's it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate that. Love that. So once I'll give it up for Chris, the beautiful fantastic.
Yeah.
Chris, is there? Yeah, here we are. This is where we can find your work. You want to tell us about it?
Yes. So that's my personal page there. It's Christopher Batista on Instagram, and then that first post there is me at the drum shop after the angry motorcycle rider. I made it, but I was going to pick up a drum for this this first iteration of these festivals that I'm going to be throwing in Toronto to raise consciousness and to spread positivity and love in these sometimes challenging times, or especially challenging times. The one thing that I will say is, regardless of how challenging these times are, the position that I find myself in now, I am so grateful and so joyous, because right now is the best possible time ever to actually initiate change.
Yeah.
It has never been more likely that we can actually change it for real than right now. And so that's what this festival is about. It's called Black Fest, and it's BLVCK. And I would love to have anyone that is about positive vibes come out and join the party tomorrow. It's 1 to 5. I shouldn't say party because it's a small gathering. PPE is required. So your gloves, your mask, social distancing is in full effect. We're going to have 6 feet in between everybody. Bring your own blanket, your own water, your own supplies, all that good stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. I just want to say that's as beautiful. And right before we bring on our next performer, I really like what you shared about how you came from the military, but then you used your art in terms of your healing to get back to myself, into my body, and just being an actor. I think a lot of the people in this room can appreciate that as well. So coming up, we've got one of my favorite women on the planet, and one of my sisters, my soul sister. She's going to be sharing some beautiful art that she does always. And without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, soul sister Aisha. You're still on mute.
Yeah.
You're still on mute.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah.
Is it loud enough?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hello everybody. My name is Aisha. I also go by Soul Sis, and I am the host of a weekly event called Flow Friday. We have different topics every week, and yesterday's topic was a new view. So we kind of discussed exactly what Chris was talking about, really, like envisioning a new reality that comes out of all of the struggle and the strife that we've been experiencing. So I just want to tell you where I'm at right now emotionally. I'm actually having a very hard time. I've been having a very hard time over the past few weeks. And it's going through different stages, and it's constantly changing. There is an intersection between race and mental health that I think I need to speak out about a bit more. I've been very quiet in general about all of the issues that are faced by so many people in our community. And I feel like now's the time. Now's the time to start speaking. I have never seen so much solidarity and so much awareness. So this is the time for change, for sure. I should have come up a little bit earlier, a lot earlier actually, but I couldn't. I really couldn't. So I had to let Adrian know and the crew here that I needed more time to just center myself and get ready. So I want to let anybody who's watching right now, whether you're here in the room or you're watching from Facebook, I want to let you know that if you're experiencing difficulties, any type of difficulties, whether related to what's currently happening or just in general, I am with you. I totally feel you. We're in really difficult times right now, and know that it's okay if you need to reach out for support. And yeah, we're gonna start moving through this day by day, slowly but surely. So I'm gonna do something, I call it freestyle folk. I haven't actually done this with the guitar in quite some time, so I'm very excited. I'm gonna ask a couple questions, and then I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself and just yell out the answer, whatever you're feeling the answer is to the question. I'm gonna write it down, and then I'm gonna use that to create a song for you, okay? So my first question is, how are you feeling right now in this moment? How are you feeling?
Tense.
Just unmute yourself. Was that tense?
Tense, yeah.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Frustrated.
Frustration?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sad.
Sad.
Stressed.
Stress.
I feel bad to break the chain, but connected. I feel blessed to be connected to you all. So thank you.
Connected. Beautiful.
Motivated.
Thing. Motivated. Okay, that's the last one. And then I'm going to ask you, when you picture changes that are on the horizon, how do you feel when you picture changes that are on the horizon?
Optimism.
Optimistic.
Gratitude. Ooh, gratitude.
Gratitude, yes.
Uncertain.
Uncertain. One more.
Did you get optimistic?
Yes, I got optimistic.
Powerful.
Big. Powerful, beautiful. Okay. And my next question for you, and I'm gonna ask specifically if I can get maybe 2 Black people to answer this question, please. So what is it that non-Black people can do to support you right now in this time?
Speak
you
out.
Unmute yourself. speak out.
Listen.
Empathize.
Listen and empathize. Absolutely.
Do their own research.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I gotta give you some clicks for that.
Don't talk over Black people.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't talk over.
Don't gaslight.
Yeah. It's one of the worst things.
Yeah.
Don't gaslight. Sorry, I missed something that came just before don't talk over Black people. Was it support? I think it was support.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
probably me talking over a Black person. I'm so sorry.
We're gonna police you and send you a ticket.
Exactly. I have to
add one?
tell you, actually, this book is a bunch of tickets that I'm giving out for people who speak over. No, I'm just kidding. Awesome. And can you
add
give me...
one thing?
Absolutely.
Be curious. Like
Oh,
be be curious, you know, to, because I feel that a lot of segregation comes from feeling different, and instead of being like, oh, you're different, I'm different, maybe I shouldn't ask, just be like curious. Like I would love to know, you know, more about, you know, things you've been through, your experiences, so that I can better understand you and like honor you as a person. You know, like that's really part of like where the healing comes from, you know. So just to be curious about your other friends, and you know, and just yeah, be inclusive.
I just saw that. Thank you, first of all, Aisha, for that. I appreciate that. And then I just saw that Velvet added to the chat, don't use us to get gold stars for your growth.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that one. I like that one.
Can I throw one in? Just one more in there. You know, I actually wrote a paper about I wrote a paper about racial discourse, and one of the frameworks was minimization. Don't minimize our experience. And you know, one of the folks would say, well, maybe you know he had a bad day, or you know, or maybe it's your imagination, things like that. So you know, minimization is, to me, is like one of the chief frameworks in racism and discourse.
I completely agree with you. Just to add my own as well, for me, I mean, you all mentioned amazing things, and I agree with every single one of these. For me, the thing that I really, really need is for people to listen. Yeah. I just need people to listen. Just be quiet and let me speak. Let me express what I'm feeling, without trying to offer advice or trying to offer anything, really. All I need is to be heard. And so with that, I am going to play this song back to you. I'm going to ask for 3 random words on top of what I just had here. 3 random words. Give me something interesting and different.
Carpool.
What was
Cucumber.
that? Carpool. Cucumber. I like that. What was the next one?
I've been saying carpool.
Carpool. I've had that one before. Carpool. And one more.
Stork's spine.
Storks?
A stork.
Spine.
Yeah, they can cool themselves down by pulling their spine out through their mouth.
What?
Stork's spine?
Yeah, only look it up online if you're ready for the visual.
Okay, we'll just write storks for simplicity.
Storks for simplicity.
Did you say stork spining? Wow.
I don't know.
Wow.
But the song will be called Storks for Simplicity.
Stork spine. Okay, interesting. I'm gonna look it up.
Don't use me to get your gold stars. Do your own research, you'll go far. I'm not handing out trophies for how woke you've become. Do you realize I've been here all this time? I'm not dumb, and I see you. I see you not speaking out, and I understand that it's really hard, but the time is now, so please open your eyes and empathize. Don't talk over me. You'll see me flying with the stars, all the way from here to New York. And I'm feeling like some people need to put a cork in it. I'm gonna win it, 'cause I'm feeling optimistic. Opening the curtain, letting the light in. I am feeling like I've got the power from myself. And I will begin to have gratitude. That is my attitude. Through all the frustration, I know segregation won't work. We've got to get together, no matter the weather, because we can do it the best when we aren't too stressed or depressed, when we're connected and every single one is respected. That's when I'm motivated to stop all the hatred. And I know that some people feel a little green, like a cucumber on the scene, like a cucumber. Oh, it's like lightning and thunder. I feel like we might be going under. Oh, oh, oh. And I wonder if we can be free. But first, don't gaslight me. I just changed the chord structure of the song by mistake, so don't judge me. But I'm gonna try my best to pick it up. So don't minimize my experience. It's real. And I hope that you feel me when I say you gotta be curious, because I'm getting furious and I'm sick of trying to explain why my life matters to you. If you don't get it, I really need you to do your research, because you're making me feel heard when you talk over me. I need you to see and be a supportive person in my life. If you love me, please. That's the way that allies can help us cure this disease of racism in our lives. 'Cause we all can strive to move together like we were in a carpool. And I understand that this was a lot to mention. It's okay, don't worry, I'm not gonna put you in detention. If you don't get it right tonight, don't worry, it might take a while, but it's worth it, yes, it's worth it. It's worth it, and I'll smile at you. That's the only gold star you're getting from me. Till we're all free. Till we're all free. Till we're all free.
Wow, so amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow, that was
So
awesome.
good. You're definitely getting a gold star from me.
That is the best gold star one could ever ask for.
Awesome. I love your improvisation. I love how you just create beautiful music, and it's always so relevant. It's just amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much.
So, do you want to tell the world, share with us what you're working on next? Like, what are you focused on for your show for Friday next week?
Absolutely. So generally speaking, I tend to think of the topics well in advance. But for next week, I'm actually going to just see how this week flows. And then I will come up with the theme, you know, maybe midweek, I'm guessing, because I do like to keep it very relevant to current affairs. But it's always a good time. It's always a good time. Even though we get into some really difficult and sometimes uncomfortable discussions,
Right.
it's always imbued with softness and compassion. And there's
Yeah.
always fun involved as well. Like even yesterday, some very difficult times, like extreme levels of anxiety for me for various reasons. And, but at the end of it, it all came together so beautifully, so wonderfully. So again, please do follow me at solstice.aisha. You can also follow the Instagram for Flow Friday, which is Flow Friday 1. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. So everyone give it up one more time for our sister Aisha. She's beautiful, talented. Yeah, awesome. Love it, love it. And just remember, she has her show Flow Friday. Just a wonderful opportunity for discussion and to talk about relevant topics. Please join her and all of us in supporting her, because it's a really important platform for this time, for this new world order that we're creating. So without further delay, we have our headliner, our star for the evening, or one of the many stars, but our closing artist. Chris Robinson is going to be doing some great rap in the comedy series. He just released an album, Great Bussa Volume 1. So yeah, Chris, wow us with your artistic talents, and we're gonna be happy to love you.
Okay, thanks, man. You know, I'm so happy to be here and be a part of this. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing any rap, but I will definitely do some jokes and stuff like that. But honestly, too, before I like get into any of that stuff, I just want to say like I'm just so happy to be a part of this and be with a group of predominantly Black people, because like in the life that I live, I'm a stand-up comedian, and there's just not a lot of Black people who are in comedy in Canada. So majority of my peers are white or other races and stuff like that. So, you know, I was literally like telling some people this week that I miss my Black camaraderie and, you know, like just my Black brothers and sisters. So I'm just so happy that I can be a part of this and, you know, have these discussions with you guys and stuff like that.
Nice. We're happy to have you here.
And, you know, this has been very weird. Like Aisha was talking about how she has like tough conversations in that show that that she does, and that's what this week's been all about for me, and it's good. But you know, it's weird because you have to call out people, and like for me, it was kind of hard to speak up growing up because I grew up like Jehovah's Witness, and we're just neutral on everything. And it's like, you know, you don't vote, you don't do this, you don't celebrate anything. It's just, you know, you just stay middle of the path. So it's been hard for me to speak up. And this week I felt like it's been easier for me to like call people out for shit. You know, it's made me just get a little bit more fire in me, and I didn't not tolerating shit that I would usually put up with. Like I put out my comedy album. It's called Gut Bussa Volume 1. And if you see the cover of it, I did it like a old school Cash Money like styles, like No Limit Records, like mixtape vibes. And I had a colleague of mine, another comic, who was promoting it, and in his promotion, he was like, "Oh, you guys should check out Chris Robinson, but don't worry, he's not as Black as the album cover looks." And it's like, what? Bro, like, it's not cool to judge your Blackness, okay? There's no levels of fucking Blackness, all right? And it sucks that, you know, I've gotten that, you know, from my own, like, family growing up, saying that I'm, like, not that Black, you know? But let alone having just, like, you know, almost a stranger who's not even Black telling me that I'm not Black. Like, what the fuck you talking about? Like, that's just straight up disrespectful, and you can't tell that to anybody. And even if I was quote unquote that black, where, you know, I wore, like, I do have grills and I do have a do-rag, and just because I don't walk around wearing that shit all the time, like, that makes me what, less black. And is that a bad thing to wear do-rags and grills? No, it looks fucking dope. Black people love gold. like, like, who cares, man? Like, I don't know. So I had to check him and just give him a call. And, like, you know, that's happened to me in the past where, you know, someone's like, oh, but Chris isn't that black, whatever. And you just kind of like, haha, yeah. And then, like, I never really knew how to express myself before, but this week is like, fuck that, man. Like, no, you gotta, I just called him up immediately. I'm like, yo, man, it's not cool. Like, I've been getting this shit my whole life and it's never felt good. It's never been funny. And it's just unacceptable. And, like, you should know that. And luckily he was understanding and he didn't, you know, try and fight with me or anything. He just listened and took in how I felt. So that was good. And that was like a very positive conversation that I had. But it's interesting because even something that feels negative could turn positive, because I had another friend who's a comic and he was just posting some just very sus shit during this week. And he's one of my good friends, like 10 years. He's literally helped me through one of the hardest parts of my life. We've always been extremely close. And then this week he's just trying to do shit to, like, stir the pot, you know, like, instead of posting a black square, he posts a white square. And it's like, shit, I'm like, what? Like, I just didn't, like, what the fuck are you going for? Like, come on, man. So again, riding off that wave, I'm like, bro, like, I just got to call this guy. Cause I'm like, I've been your friend for so long. Like, I just have to hear from your voice what the fuck is going on. So I called him and talked to him, and basically he's saying, like, you know, he's just trying to get a rise out of people and stuff. And I'm like, I understand that, like, as a comedian standpoint, you're trying to push the envelope and stuff. But I mean, in a time when people are hurting and people are fighting for, you know, justice and peace and equality, it's like I don't find it funny. And I'm questioning, like, if I even want to be friends with you if you're, like, doing that kind of shit in these times. And as we're having the conversation, he was just saying some like very sus shit about, like, the States and, like, you know, well, it could be like people in the States are, like, different than they are here and stuff like that. And, like, and some stuff about violence. And the whole conversation, I was just thinking I didn't want to be this guy's friend anymore. But I remember watching an interview with Daryl Davis, and he was a guy who converted, like, almost like 200, like, Klans members to leave the Ku Klux Klan. And the whole time, like, we were having this conversation, I was just trying to think of him, and he was talking about, you know, just having conversations with these people. You know, you can change them. Like, it's possible. You know, it's not impossible. Like, if you can pull somebody out of the Klan, then obviously I could get my friend to open up his eyes. So I just kept trying to think of that and, like, just be calm and not get into an argument with him and just have a conversation and just try and let him understand what I was feeling and, like, how I felt my whole life. And at the end of the conversation, I wasn't even happy with how it ended. But then I saw him, like, 5 days later, and it was, like, a different energy that he felt. And, you know, we actually had a talk, and he was like, you know, like, what you were saying, like, obviously this, and, you know, he came around at the end. So, you know, even if it feels shitty to have these conversations, you have to do it. And even if it's like you feel like it's not going anywhere, you still have to do it. It's a must. Like, that's what we just have to, because we've been sweeping the shit under the rug for far too long, and people have been getting away with just acting fucking stupid. But I don't know, it's crazy too, like, because all the stuff that's been going on this week, I've been reflecting about my childhood and things. And, you know, a lot of this week too, I've been getting a feeling from some white people of, like, well, why are you so mad? Because you're not from the States. But, like, you've never experienced brutality like this. You grew up in Brampton, in the suburbs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I did grow up in, you know, a nice house in the suburbs, and, like, we never had to worry about food on the table or police coming to our door, or, like, you know, shit like that. But I was still fucking terrified of the cops. Nothing bad ever happened to me in my whole life, and I was still as early as I can remember, terrified of cops. And it wasn't even like my parents told me to be like, you know, be careful of cops. Like they didn't even do that. It was just literally from shit that I saw on the news and how we were treated as people in regular media. It fucks with your brain. And like I remember being like 5 and there was a cop who was parked on my street and I was skateboarding and I saw him look at me and he like went like this and like my stomach dropped. I was like, must have been like, yeah, I don't know, 6 or 7 and my stomach dropped. I was so scared. And I like slowly like walked up to the window and I was like, yeah, yes, officer. And he's like, what? And I'm like, you called me over, right? He's like, no, I was just scratching my chin. And I was like, oh my God. Like, you don't know how like good, like I felt like I dodged a fucking bullet. Like I thought I was gonna get arrested. And like a 6-year-old kid, like white people, they've never had to go through that shit. They never had to feel uncomfortable living, you know? And hopefully people can understand what that's like now. I remember as a kid doing a family trip, we're going to Disneyland. And, you know, any kid driving to Disneyland, you should be happy. You should be pumped. You should be like, you know, happy to go to Disneyland. But we were driving there. So the entire trip, I was just terrified of driving through the South. The entire trip. I could not enjoy like the anticipation of going to Disneyland because I watched To Kill a Mockingbird, or not To Kill a Mockingbird, what was it? A Time to Kill. And I was just so terrified of driving through the South and my family was just gonna get ransacked by the Klan and stuff like that. And like, obviously we had a safe trip and everything like that, but I don't know, as a kid, this shit affects you. And I don't know, a lot of people never even understand that or can understand that. But it's like, we've been living our whole lives with just a fear 24/7. And we have to just like, you know, push it down and push it down and push it down and just like keep smiling and be like, oh yeah, everything's great, man. Yeah, we're living life. Yeah, it's great. But there's just like, there's shit that's going on inside of us and we just can't let it out. And I'm happy that, you know, all this stuff's going on so people can finally learn and hopefully grow from these situations. But also I want to say, okay, now I'm going to get into like some more just like humorous shit. But I honestly though, how many people have had white people be like super nice to them now though? Like it's crazy. Like I don't think it's a coincidence that all of my old Portuguese neighbors finally wave to me now. You know, like it's, like I've lived on this block for a year and a half. Nobody's ever said boo. Nowadays it's like, oh yes, how do you? Yes, oh yes, yes. I'm like, is this how it feels to be white? Just like everybody's nice and happy and like, you know, saying hi to each other and shit. I'm like, this is actually sick. But and also too, when this shit is going on, I know like it's hard. I empathize too with like some white people who don't know how to be nice to black people, you know, because they've never had any interaction, so they don't even know what to say. Like I was at, like there was this one lady and I could tell she was trying to be nice to me, but she just didn't know what to do, you know? And so she came up to me and she was like, I have a son, I have a mixed son. And she had her mixed grandson. And she came up and she was like, oh, you're black? I'm like, yeah, I'm black. And she's like, oh, skin's so nice. Skin's so nice. Skin, oh, very good. Love complexion. Yeah, skin's so nice. And it's like, yeah. You're like, I know you're trying, okay? I know you're trying here, but like, that's not the way. But at least you're trying, you know. At least it's not a scowl and stuff. But I could see that she was just trying to relate because she had a half black kid with her, and she just, you know, she wanted to be like, yo, it's all love. I love his skin. I love your skin. But it's like she can't articulate it properly. So, you know, sometimes you kind of just gotta try and feel somebody's intentions and like their heart and just have a little patience with them because it's not easy for everybody.
Yeah.
And like, I was listening to this one speaker who was saying, we're obviously we're creatures of habit, so we're experts in everything. And so, if you haven't been talking to Black people forever, you're expert in non-Black communication. So it's like you gotta realize that these people have, some of these people have, I don't know, you gotta give them a grain of salt, but most of them though know what the fuck they're talking about. You gotta fucking check them straight up. But now this is just some other humor. I've been doing some like Skype shows and stuff like that since this whole pandemic started, and it's fun. I do really like it, but there's some things that you can't do on Skype or Zoom. Like apparently some doctors were doing appointments through Zoom. I don't know. What if you got a hemorrhoid? Like I don't know about like that's. I don't want to have to turn into a cam girl just to get a diagnosis. Like that's I don't know. That doesn't feel right to me personally. But and this whole like, I don't know, COVID thing is insane. They're trying to pump out those vaccines. They're like, oh yeah, we got a new vaccine ready to go, tested on absolutely nobody, but we're gonna give it to everyone right now. And you're like, what? Oh, no, I don't think so. And they're like, and Bill Gates, he fucking made it. Really, Bill Gates? He's the one who's helping make vaccines. This guy's computers get viruses. You think he's gonna solve a global pandemic? Get the hell out of here. No way. If Apple, now Macs don't get viruses. If Apple came out with a vaccine, I might get an Apple vaccine straight up. There's an Apple Care warranty that was attached to it too, or some shit. I don't know. But oh, thanks guys. You guys are sick.
Instead of a vaccine, it's a Maxine. Sorry, that was a horrible joke. Sorry.
Maxine, that's joke.
Wait, so somebody wrote IVAX.
IVAX. That'd be so funny. I was literally just picturing too if it's called Maxine and they just have that the fucking Jamaican song Maxine. Oh, it's Maxine. Everybody look ready. Come get these shots in you. Oh man. What else? Oh yeah, and I feel like I've said most of what I had to say, but this is really dope. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you. Everyone, give a big round of applause. Great, Chris. Thank you, Chris, for sharing your wonderful thoughts and your stories, so we can get a better idea of what you've been going through. And yeah, so we have Gut Bussa Volume 1. So tell us more about that, where we can find it.
You can find this on Spotify. You can find it on iTunes, Google Play, Apple Music. You can find it anywhere that you listen to music or podcasts or comedy. It's going to be there.
Cool. So you've been doing comedy for a while now?
Yeah, probably like it'll be 12 and a half years, almost 13 years.
That's good, man. Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for showing and thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
I love how we can all laugh about the crazy times that we're living in, and good to hear your experiences. I mean, I've got some I can share similar stories, and it's good that we can all relate because we're all in this together. Even if that mother with that half black kid didn't know the words, she was still trying. She was still trying. And we're all here, and we're all just trying to relate, and that's what it's all about. We're all brothers and sisters here. We're all the same, and we're just trying to relate with each other and get through this quarantine because God knows it's all messed up. But we're here to learn, and we're here to listen from it and to understand that there's a new way to live. So thank you for everyone who showed up tonight. It was a great show. We're a little over time, but that's cool. We wanted to share. We wanted to have that discussion to get it out there about how we're feeling and what's going on and make space for people. So right now it's the open mic. Anto's going to take over. We got some people lined up. It's going to be great. And let's just thank you for everyone for coming through. And I'm going to sign off and hand it over to my man, Anto Chan.
Oh, it's me. What's up, everybody? Great to be here. Oh my goodness. Yo, that was such a great set by Chris Robinson. Like, I'm so glad that I got a hold of you, Chris, and I was able to like get you on the show and be able to share your amazing comedy and stuff. Your stories at the beginning that's exactly why I knew that you were the right person for this, is because you totally can read a room. You're able to just like kind of go into the stories that like I think so many of us were able to relate to. And like, it just is really important, I think, to be able to understand that like everybody is doing their best at this time. And there's also people who are not doing their best. And that's why it's important for us to be like, hey, do better. And I love that you were saying the idea that you called them, because your voice as well as your face and like the entire experience of like connecting to a human being at that time, that's what it is all about. That's how we overcome racism. That's how we overcome these moments where it's like uncomfortable as fuck and we're like, what are we gonna do right now? What do we do with this like feeling of, and then two people both feeling that same moment, you know, like when you're both people know that they're supposed to break up, right? And then you're just like, oh, what, instead of being like, oh, now I hate you and we can't talk, whatever. It's like, well, how do we overcome this and be like, you would be better off without me in this situation. I'd be better. That's fine. Or we find a solution where we're able to come together in this way. And one of the things I learned recently that was the most incredible was the idea of like a call in and not a call out. So if you call somebody out in front of everybody, why would they listen to you after that? You're not considerate of their truth, right? You're not considerate of their lives. You're not considerate of how they ended up there. All of these things that we're just in together in this way, it's hard to build these bridges when all of those bridges that we've tried previously have become so uncomfortable and we aren't able to like cross them together. So I love that you're able to call your friends and be like, what's going on? This is not cool. I don't appreciate this. This really hurt me and it's not hurting this movement that I believe in so much. So that really is an incredible way of looking at it. So thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And I just want to give so much love to like, you know, all the work that you've done. I just wanted to just jump back a couple years or whatever. I just wanted to really also, obviously I just talked about how much I absolutely love like what Chris has been done. But I also wanted to just give a big shout out to Adrian for holding down the space tonight. Like we actually, I usually host the show and Adrian clearly has learned so much from me and I'm grateful that I get to be your mentor. No, I'm just joking. I know, but you did an amazing job, bro. I really appreciate how hard you worked tonight and like you really held it down. There was a couple of hiccups, but like supposedly nobody noticed, and that's what we're all about here at FreeFlow. We got to just keep flowing, we got to keep rolling, you know. So I really appreciate that. And one of the reasons at the beginning some people were wondering why I wasn't hosting, what was going on with that. That's really because I've this last like couple years I've learned what it's like to be an ally, especially to the Black community. I really appreciate you guys trusting in me to be able to hold space for that as well. But I knew that like this was not my week to be hosting right now because it's all about amplifying the Black voice at this time. You know, as an ally, I had challenges listening previously, and that's not just like to Black voices specifically, but in general. I just a bad listener before, and then I realized how important it was when I went to Rise Poetry, and we were in a community center and we were sitting down, and I tell this story all the time. You know, I feel like I'm an old uncle right now being like, oh, remember back in the day, the story I tell every time. But I was at this show and I actually was waiting for my turn to go on. And the entire time I'm just running through my poem to get it perfect. I've just started doing poetry. What am I gonna be able to do just to get this perfect moment, to get this poem perfect so all these people are gonna like me? And there was a mirror behind all of the performers. And I looked up and I saw an incredible performer sharing their poem, and I saw myself just still running through the poem in my mind. And I realized at that time that I wasn't spending that time listening the way that poetry was supposed to also affect us. You're going to poetry rooms, you're going to rooms like this, but not just to be able to spit your shit and then leave. It's all about being able to be in the moment and listen to what it is that people are offering to you. You know, every relationship that I've been building now has been so much better because especially the last couple, they've just been like, please just listen to what I'm saying. Stop trying to solve everything. I'm telling you exactly what I need right now. Don't make it complicated. I'm telling you exactly what I need. Here it is. And then before I'd be like, okay, now I need to decipher this puzzle and all. It's none of that shit. It's literally just do what's being asked of you. And then if it ends up fucking up, then you can be like, yo, you told me to do exactly this. I got you there. I did it. Like, it's on you too, right? Like, you guys do it? Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at with all this. I really appreciate like all the voices that were shared tonight. You guys have been doing an amazing job and you held the space so well, Adrian. So thank you. As like opening the open mic, one of the things that I really would like to offer is to be able to know that this is still a show that is honoring the Black voice. So if you are wanting to share things that do not relate to that, that's completely okay. But please just kind of let us know and like let us know that you're going through something or whatever. But at the same time, it really is like if we do have Black artists that would like to share, this is definitely the time to also be able to step forward. And even if you just wanted to share your words and share just like your ideas and stuff, it doesn't have to be a perfected piece or anything like that. So I just wanted to say like this is very exciting for us here at FreeFlow because we were able to have a great discussion on all of the things that have been happening and how important it was for us to have the show tonight and for us to actually, we had to move a lot of performers, and those conversations obviously were uncomfortable too, to be like, hey, we do want to amplify the Black voice, but we are going to like ask you to come on another week. If you'd like, you could still do the open mic. That conversation obviously was very difficult, but imagine how many incredibly difficult conversations the Black community has to have all the time, you know, like having everybody trying to understand them. So that's what it is. It was such a great practice for us to experience this. And I'm just always so grateful for this community to be able to let our voices be heard and let us to be able to speak our truths. So this week it is to be able to share what it is that the Black voice is needed. So I did write a little bit of something. So every day I've been writing for about half an hour for the 66-day challenge that Daniel and I and a couple other people have been doing. And one day after just so much social media, so many moments of reflection, and I was watching the Rise Poetry stream, and one of the things that I learned from Randell Ajay was he was saying how if we're consuming so much mass media online, sometimes it becomes overwhelming to the point where we're not able to go in more. We're not able to actually go in and reflect on what it is that we personally can do because we're just so busy retweeting and going on Instagram and putting on to our stories. We're not able to go in. And the thing is, if we have people and communities that are depending on us, if somebody comes to you and they have a personal challenge that they're going through themselves, we're not able to support and help that because we're not looking in to be able to call ourselves out on things that we're overwhelmed with as well. So then somebody presents this challenge, then we become overwhelmed, and then instead of being able to help this person with this challenge, we haven't done the work to be able to go in and to be able to reflect on that. So I wrote, like, it's a poem / in my journal, so it's just flowing of that, but that's why I love the show, is because it is just gonna be me flowing about this. So I really appreciate the time for this. And like I mentioned, anybody, the chat is kind of blowing up, so I don't know who has signed up for the open mic as well. So please just let me know after I'm finished what I'm about to share. I love you guys, by the way. I have lived in anti-Blackness. I have been fearful of many races, but the top of the list from me and my family and the intergenerational fear was always Black. Jokes growing up, a boy group perpetuating racism, sexism, uneducated. We spent so many years in school, but where was this education, the real world? Stats upon stats, meme after video, but it all changed when I learned to love my roommates, my dear friends, my art family, my Black family. Opened my heart to the humanity, this figure of fear that was painted. It's not the truth, all the lies, like in school, when you hear so many so many rumors about a person, and then you finally sit next to them. You look them in their eyes. You do a group project, you realize it was all bullshit. Reality sets in. I am ready for love to seep through, but it is not up to me what we are ready for. There is so much more work, inner and outer, communal, systemic, to be done. I am here to listen. I recently learned about the privilege that East Asians, especially Chinese, have had paired with not ruffling our feathers, not ruffling your feathers, keep the peace, do my job, and go home. Well, good thing my job is to build community, amplify the voices that need platform. It is time that I support the revolutionary acts that those around me are making. What can I do to help? Do we need to do this together? Do you need support? Being a good partner, I've realized it's not about me. Can't take it personally. The messages are clear. There's fear, so much fear. All of us live in fear when our egos take over. So it's up to us to step forward and see what the ego is trying to speak to us and see that we must acknowledge the inner child in each other, this fear. We must empathize, not about finding solutions, not needing to demand actions to be done. That is not my place. I lead now by following. Feeling like the scene in war movies where they're preparing their families in uniform and weapons. I've been using my voice for so long. Now it's time to listen. Be grateful. We are in these times where we can fight for what it is that we truly believe in. I march alongside my Black brothers and sisters. Your courage has helped me live the life that I do. I live to be here to support this revolution until we overcome, only ending in our resolutions.
What? Bruh.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Ento.
Thank you for that. I appreciate
No problem. And one of the things that I really needed to make sure of that I was not doing was something that I always did when I was doing stand-up comedy, which was just pandering to the audience. Like, I'm definitely not sharing this only so that I have approval in this room. This was something I reflected on multiple hours before I shared this with you guys, you know? So this is incredibly important work that we're doing here in this community. And I've totally been changed because I've taken the time to really respect and to connect to people, like truly connect to people. So that's what I really want to put out to this. So thank you guys so much for holding space for me. And I'm really grateful that we've been able to hold space here in the FreeFlow community for all of the voices that are being shared. I am going to be opening up the open mic now to those who are here to be able to speak. So if right now, the only person that I did have on the list a little bit earlier, I did have Walter. I do believe it was Walter. So Walter, you're out there. If you'd like to share, and I apologize that I haven't been able to check up on the actual open mic sign-up list that's there. So I'm going to check that right now. So Walter is going to be sharing some poetry as well. So thank you guys again. And just give a big round of applause, a lot of love, and send that over to Walter. He is going to be sharing some poetry for us here right now. Okay, thanks.
You guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
A little louder.
One sec. I'll try to.
That's good. That's good.
That's good. All right. Cool. First, I just want to say to everyone who's gone on tonight, the Chris's, the Aishas, that was amazing. Y'all's bravery really. That's all I want to say. It was just really something. So I'm honored that I get to speak. I hope in my own little teensy tiny way I can help. I can be one of the allies that we all want to be. As always, it's untitled. I'll just give it a name. It's called Soon I Will Stop Pretending. Soon I will stop pretending that I am blind. Soon I will stop pretending that I do not have the universe in my heart. Soon I will take your hand again, and hand in hand again, we will stroll on the merriest night of our life. Soon it will be clear again, so clear and so simple, about as complicated as a blade of grass. I will stand tall in the ecstasy of uncertainty, freer than I was a day ago, secretly immune to all distraction. I will make the moon from scratch, the golden scope of my love fixed upon a fearsome, fearsome mystery. knowing exactly what is at stake. My whole heart to glow, thoroughly broken, a heart brought back to life time and time again. Here on the edge of everything else, on one leg balanced, blessed with no other option, the grace of all my heroes flowing like a wild river through life. And with the stars burning awesomely and brutally burning inside of me, constellations furious, making waves in the silver inks of the sky, casting gold shadows, constellations spreading, constellations spinning, constellations and waves of an ocean beyond words. Beyond words and beyond the hatred. Lavishly beyond the hatred, I make my way through the dust and through the fog till I touch the horizon. We are in each other's arms, dancing neath the miraculous, the rarest fluke of the sun and the moon. Made just for us, just for our perfect, childish, invincible love. And how can I stop now that I have found you? Radiant, more radiant than any dream jewel. And is it true that all this time you were just here in my empty heart? Making the emptiness overflow? Were you pouring liquid gold over the world? Over this entire city? Over the very bed in which I weep and dream? Gleefully, invisibly, you singing, picking lavender neath the beams of some fabulous dawn. Were you still running and chasing me? Round the gilded memory? Round the gilded memories of that one cherry tree, both of us giggling. Is it you all this time in bonnet and skirt of mauve and breathlessness and poplar leaf glimpses, shadow puppetry of dusks and dawns and the freeways of our kisses and the time before the kiss, and the kiss as we kiss on the hood of my car, watching Hollywood twilight, me explorer, you stargazer. Was it you all this time? Making honey like soup, freeing sheep from the night cage, freeing yourself as you dance in the shape of a flower. Tomboy in the tall grass, golden and blue, teaching me where am the treasure buried in your indescribable eye. Otherworldly you, without to be so. You do not need to tell me. It is enough to kiss your body, and then I know as you kiss mine why any rose ever wanted to. Why the sun keeps returning with its sweet street burning. Or was it you? Or was it you, blend of all muses, blend of all ages, Venus surprise of mine beneath my umbrella, arm and magical, so sexier than judgers, so lovelier than the million skinny mutes, resting beside me in the holy drive-in, maker of my last hope, long-haired laughing, bravely asking, lively basking, the summer rains and risks. Ah, something natural at last, real but unreal, shaping the flames like a lip gloss powder in 100 lifetimes in any identity, being human to my heart. Yes, must.
Nice. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh, thank you so much, Walter, for sharing that. Really appreciate your poetry, man. Guys, one more time, get it for Walter. Yeah.
Yeah, way to go.
All right. Someone wrote, Tara wrote, hi, are you Shakespeare?
Tara would write that.
So,
I love you, Tara.
yeah, that's great, man. So we do have a couple other performers. Like I mentioned before, if you have performed on the show earlier, it's totally fine if you'd like to still share. We are going to go at least till midnight, so we do have a little bit of space. Velvet actually did have a poem that he wanted to share. He says it's a bit of an angry poem, so but like definitely would love to hear that if you'd like to share that, buddy.
Bring it on.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you again for the space. And it's a short poem, but I want to preface it this way. A lot of what Chris Robinson was talking about of how he grew up and how he kind of got it from all sides, that question of his blackness. For me, it was also on top of that of you have to control your emotions because any emotions that you have are seen as savage and uncivilized and dangerous. So I wrote this piece on the 29th as a reaction to everything that was happening. I grew up afraid to be an angry black man. I knew that would lead to my death, but I've been angry. I am angry. I'm not just angry. I'm not just anything, but I am angry, and I'm not afraid to be seen. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Velvet. And I really appreciate you being a part of our community as well, and for you to be able to step up earlier and share at the beginning of the show. So if anybody out there wants to know, but I did know Velvet before we actually started doing the show, and he's literally come to every one that he can. So we really do love having you as part of our community, and I've learned so much from having you as part of it. So I'm really excited about seeing more of your hitting that
the storytelling
pedal. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool to be able to see that.
Oh, and the looper. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I want to. Yeah. I'm very excited about that. I want to say about the poem. I'm very proud of what I wrote, and I know that it's concise and short, but it's because I've been in this space and I know how safe it is that I challenged myself to explore and to express in a poetic way, which I haven't really done since I was half my age. So thank you all for the space and energy.
That's so great that you shared something from when you were 15.
No, this was out now. This is a now.
But I was just saying that you're 30. I'm trying to give you a compliment. All right, take it.
I appreciate it. Actually, Adrian is younger than I am, so. Yeah.
Only in dog years.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, man. So it is amazing to be able to have like such a great space. And like I did mention before, if anybody does feel like they would like to share, definitely jump into the open mic and let us know. And we do want to hear your voice. So Daniel did mention that he wanted to share a little bit of something before the end of the show. So if we'd like to just give a lot of love and a lot of welcoming, he's actually the one who runs all of the Instagram, like shooting over there, the screen sharing and all that kind of stuff. So he's behind the scenes, and he's just wanted to share a couple words, or I think you wanted to sing a little something or something. How are you feeling? You good?
Yeah, I'm gonna share what I wrote this morning.
Okay, great. All right, here we go, guys. Give it up for Daniel. Woo!
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Anto. Thanks to everybody for being willing to come and share the space together so we can all collectively share our experiences and help each other just bring more love into the world, you know. And I think it was Velvet before who was refraining from using "make the world a better place." I know somebody was, but I truly believe that we can do that. And the theme definitely is listening. Anyhow, I'm gonna just bear with me for a quick second. I pull up this document. This is something that I just was reflecting on this morning. So Saturday, June 6th, and I called it Friends and Allies. Let the discomfort that you may be feeling be a wake-up call. This is a time for listening to the voices that have long been oppressed. As we listen, we are learning how afraid and stifled and ignored Blacks, Indigenous, and other minority groups have been in our society. So afraid to say the wrong thing and upset the white man. Expected to assimilate into our culture, but never have theirs represented or respected. It is disgraceful the extent to which the recent colonizers of this land have gone to destroy the indigenous culture that once stewarded this place. It is tragic that people are treated differently throughout various systems because of the color of their skin. The abuse of authority, lethal and non-lethal, physical and psychological, brings incredible sadness to this world. It has been mirrored back that the same fear and sadness and uncertainty and confusion that I am feeling as a white male in this time has long been held by minorities growing up in this world where white culture has represented the status quo. The fear and sadness I refer to in myself is not understanding where I fit in here, not understanding what I'm supposed to do, and the guilt I feel as a white man. The optimist in me compels me to look for the good in this, and it can be challenging when there is so much anger and sadness. But what I am hearing is the stories of racialized minorities. I mean, finally hearing the stories of what it is like to grow up as a non-white in this colonized Western world. As much pain as it took to get here, and I am in no way celebrating the tragedies, I find relief in the fact that these voices are now being heard, that people are beginning to listen and to understand a fraction of the struggle that face minority groups. I am learning how to act in this time, to listen, to come with an open mind and heart, to not minimize the issues that Black people, Indigenous people, and all non-whites face as they work to coexist in a system which has historically treated them as lesser than. I have been taught to respect all people regardless of their race. In doing so, I have been a friend. But becoming an ally is something more. It is letting people know that this is not their fight, but ours. It is an act of solidarity as we work together to create more peace on the planet. We need to use our privilege to be good allies. Thank you for the space. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you, Danielle.
Oh, thank you so much, man. Guys, give a lot of love to Daniel for sharing that. It is such an amazing space that we are able to like hold with each other. And, you know, honestly, like we had no idea how this specific space would be like after holding space for the Black voices that were on the main show. And it is a challenge still at this time. Like there are still going to be a lot of mistakes at this time. It is like a transitionary period in this way. But at the same time, like all of the things that are coming from our intentions, it is coming from such like a pure space. We really do love each and every one of you who are able to come out to the show. And I wanted to really highlight like the connection that I do have with Daniel and the gratefulness that I have for this show really would not exist if it wasn't for the work that Daniel has done to put all this stuff together and for him to be opening up and sharing this. So thank you again for holding space for us and being one of the producers on the show, Daniel. We love that. Sova did wanted to mention that ally is a verb and we practice allyship. And I also have a friend who uses the ship as like a metaphor. And I think this is a great time for us to be able to understand and connect to that whole concept of like how each and all these relationships, and this is allyship, and like each and every one of us need to be building like and to be able to help each other on these 7 seas that we're basically sailing, right? Like, and we're creating rules that didn't always exist previously. So this is a really great time for us to have that discussion. There is not anybody else who has stepped up to actually share anything on the open mic. But one of the things that we did want to do, that we did on the main show, is we wanted to open up to be able to have an open discussion about this. So we have about 12 to 15 minutes at this time. So if what I would love to be able to open this up for is what are some steps in which, as in our allyship, are we able to do? And we did speak earlier about this. So if the conversation needs to evolve into another space, as well as anything that anybody wants to comment on in general, please feel free at this time to be able to highlight that. And we are going to make it so that we can give the spotlight to whoever would love that. And just try and be mindful of time, maybe 1 to 2 minutes on each one of your comments. And we would be able to have that. And if you look at myself or one of the producers, and we're just kind of like holding our hand up, just we'd be able to pass it on to the next person to be able to speak. So we really do appreciate all of the voices that have been shared. If anybody who has been listening intently and they have something they would like to share, or anybody who's actually been on the show as well, feel free that this is the time to be able to share your voice and to be able to speak up as well.
I would like to add something kind of related to what Chris Robinson was saying, because I too deal with the like trauma that I've faced growing up. As a way of healing, I really resonate with comedy. And when he mentioned, he's like, oh, I've noticed that a lot of people have been reaching out to me and including me in certain things or just seeing how I'm doing. And he mentioned, and people are saying, like, reading me on the street. I kind of was like, I hear that because I'm like, this is interesting because I'm getting a lot of people reaching out to me and stuff that I don't normally hear from. And I had that same thought, like, oh, is this what it feels like all the time for people? Because this is great. And I just want to reiterate that, you know, it's really important to reach out to each other, just to check in and say, hey, I'm thinking of you, or you matter to me, and because it does make a difference. And just to acknowledge everyone that you're, you know, friends or strangers, whomever, just treat everybody as an equal, and let's just all grow up and get over ourselves and stop thinking we're better or less than because of the way we look, because it's ridiculous and it's tiring. Like, I'm exhausted, and I know a lot of people are exhausted. It's exhausting. So it's just grow up and be better humans, you know? So, and one thing I did do today, because I was feeling very, a lot of stuff has been coming up. I made a comedy of my own because I was just kind of looking for something to watch to get my mind off stuff. And I put on this show called The Simple Life. And I was watching it with my partner, and we started to be like, okay, imagine if these two were Black, and just putting every situation that they were doing and imagining that they were, you know, a person of color, and how it'd be so different, and just how disgusting that reality is that it had been pushed. I'm like, I remember a time when this show was popular, and like tweens were watching this, and it's just like, now's the time for change and like evolution and like consciously like evolving past that, you know, like minimizing menial kind of way of thinking about things. It's time to expand our minds and like just really live life to its fullest in all its glory, and get over all this, you know, where it really is coming from is our own internal pains. Like, we need to start healing ourselves so that we can heal everyone around us as well. Like, it's a collective thing, and we're starting to do that. So thank you to everyone that.
Oh, I love that. One of the things that I would like to highlight is specifically in the comedy community, how that has evolved. Like, there's so many jokes that I hear now, especially like racial jokes, that they just don't hit anymore because it just is not funny anymore, you know? And I really appreciate that, like, we are in a space where we are evolving with that, and we are looking forward to that. And what's actually happening is that even in comedy, people are going deeper and then sharing more personal things, because that's what's bonding us and connecting us. Whereas previously it was like, how do we group large amounts of people together and then judge them as a whole? Whereas now it's like, now I'm going to share personal stories that affect me, and then that actually affects. So there has been a huge evolution and change in comedy, which I do appreciate. So thank you for sharing that, Aisha. That means a lot to be able to know that you're also noticing that and doing that. And I would watch that show. That's hilarious, by the way. That's so funny.
It really is.
Mm-hmm. Would anybody else like to share something? Okay, Susie?
You're on mute, Susie.
Am I still muted?
No, you're good now.
Okay. So, I just wanted to share a little poem that I wrote for my first friend in school, who was in my special ed class when I started school. Dear Patrick, in my special ed class, you were my first Black friend. I didn't know you were Black. I didn't know I was yellow. I didn't know you could speak English. You couldn't speak English well, because I couldn't speak English well. I thought you were as tall as my dad, but you're only a few inches taller than myself. That Thanksgiving party in class where you stood up, tucked in your hands, under your armpits, stuck your neck out, and waddled around the classroom, gobbling like a turkey. It looked like so much fun. I joined in, following you around, making your exact moves. Gobble, 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 around we went, We found our groove. We found our groove. We were not the only ones to stand up and dance, but we were the only ones to face the consequence. You sent to one corner and I to the other, while the white kids got to carve a bird. Teacher said, you should know better because you're big and small. I'm big and tall. Teacher said, I should know better because I'm timid and small. As far as it got, there was no resolution to that.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
I just envisioned all of us right now getting up and doing the turkey that you were just, I don't know if everybody wants to join in. I would love to be able to just do some turkey in with each other. Thank you for.
Not absurd. I loved it. You got me out of my shell.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
I love all your Winnie the Pooh pictures behind you.
Thanks. My friend painted these giraffes. It's a little beautiful watercolor giraffes.
We did have somebody raise their hand in the participants thing. I don't know who it was. If you can actually do it by video so I can see, because I didn't get to see who it was. Was it Shireen?
Shireen Allison. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Shireen.
Hi. I was invited by Asha, and it's my first time here. So I just made some notes, and I just wanted to share with you guys.
Wow.
Love invited me tonight. Her name is Asha. I came to this space, I sat, I listened, and what I observed, even among the pain, I see love. Love listens, love expresses, love is unity, love is ours. Love is the difference maker. Love is light. Love is now, tomorrow, and the future. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you.
Yay,
Love,
thank
love,
you,
love.
Shireen.
So beautiful.
All love.
It's so cool. I saw you writing, and because of your background, it actually looks like you're writing on this beautiful background. So thank you for offering that as well, that little visual thing. Thank you.
I really think that that could be the way in which we have as like the final thought is love. Like if anybody would like to offer just love to the community and the appreciation that we have here, that is something that I very much would love to be able to highlight is I'm super grateful for what it is that we do here, and so much work is being done in this community, and I offer like love to all those who may feel hesitant to speak out in this. Feel free to contact myself or any of the other producers if you're feeling comfortable with them, and to share in your love and in your experiences, because sometimes it's challenging in group environments to be able to share yourselves, but we want you to know that you're seen as well, and that this is a space that we are offering that. So this is hopefully a bridge for people to be able to speak their minds. So I offer that love to all those that are out there. And anybody else who would like to offer that. That was a funny moment. That was like, hey, I love you. And then it was just silent and everybody just was, thanks a lot, guys. Whatever. Yeah, cool.
We love you, Ento.
We don't want to steal your moment, bro. It's all good.
Love you all.
Love you so much.
It's so funny. I'll share this. My grandfather in Jamaica, we always say whenever you ask him, it was my father, is my mother's stepfather, Mas Hari. Mas Hari, what you do? What go on, Mas Hari? How you do this morning? And his always reply was, love, love, love. Mas Hari, what I say? Love, love, love. How you feeling today, Mas Hari? Love, love, love. How's that goat, Mas Hari? Love, love, love. His answer to everything was always love. Love, love, love. And it's funny because at his funeral, a few years ago, I remember upstairs in the room at my grandmother's place, and all of a sudden these people just kept coming to the room, and everyone kept saying, yeah, I'm Mas Hari's son. Yes, I'm Mas Hari's daughter. Yes, I'm Mas Hari's son. And we did the math and we counted. He had about 18 children. 18 children in this community way up in the hills in Jamaica. And I'm sure my grandmother knew, because she wasn't, she knew us. People told her, and these people come by and be like, yeah, I'm your son or I'm your daughter.
but it was kind of funny. But you know, he really did practice what he preached. You know, love, love, love. He had 18 kids.
That's great. I hope that he also continued on being like love, 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 like counting how many kids he had there. You know, like that's like at the end of his life, he had like 18 times he would say love after every question. Like that's amazing, man. Thank you for sharing that.
It's cool. You're welcome.
Yeah, of course, Aisha, please.
So I just wanted to invite everyone this Thursday. Myself and Ashley, I believe, we're doing a compassion camp. I'm not sure if you've heard of the group. It's Ashley.
We can't really hear you, Aisha. Can you talk a little closer to your microphone?
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, so this Thursday, I'll post a link on my Facebook page. There is going to be a compassion camp discussion about how you connect to your inner child, because I really believe that part of healing as an adult is going, you know, really kind of going back to what wounded you as a child. But we're going to make this fun. We're inviting everyone to come dressed in their favorite pajamas, have their favorite snack that they remembered as like a kid, and we're going to have like some certain questions. Everyone's going to have a turn to talk about, you know, nostalgia and, you know, what brought them happiness as a child and how they're still implementing that in their life as an adult. Because I think it's really important, especially in these days, just to stay connected to that innocent, childlike nature within us all, because we were all born into this world pure and pure love, right? And we were conditioned to think otherwise. So everyone, I'll be posting the info on my page, and Ashley will as well. And I look forward to seeing everyone in your pajamas for a big pajama party.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And your favorite cereal, too. We're going to ask you what your favorite cereal is.
Oh, that's going to be good. Oh, that sounds amazing. So you said Thursday, right?
Thursday at 8:30.
Okay, perfect. 8:30 p.m., I'm sure. So that's great. Yeah, awesome. And make sure that you wear your pajamas, everybody. Please don't go in whatever you sleep in, because I know some people sleep naked. That's not appropriate. This is a pajama-only party, guys, okay? So it is the end of the open mic as well as the end of the FreeFlow Showcase. Adrian, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add, if you'd like to close out the show, but I am going to close out the open mic, and I want to say a huge thank you to everybody for being open to all of the words that are being shared, all the ideas that are being shared, and just being part of the process of us all learning together. I'm sure that it was like challenging for some people to be able to speak out and be able to actually express themselves. So we really appreciate all the work that we're all doing. I myself, I'm sure, made multiple mistakes tonight, but it's part of the love, it's part of the experience, it's part of the growth, and it's just being able to understand and really call each other in and have the tough conversations. And I'm looking forward to those that are going to be coming forward for myself. So I'm going to pass this over to Adrian just for a couple words to finish off, and then we are going to end the night that way. So thank you guys again, as one of the producers, Anto, as well as Ashley, Daniel, Adrian, Aisha, and Annie. We just love you guys so much, and this community has just been so supportive and awesome. So thank you guys for another great show, and then I'm going to throw this to Adrian just for a couple last words.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who came out tonight to hold space with us. This was a special edition of FreeFlow Showcase. We really wanted to dedicate it to people of color and give them a voice, and just touch base on what's happening with our world right now with all the protests and you know, and the demonstrations and whatnot. We're going through tough times, folks. 2020 will be written in history as one of the turning points of society, and whether it turns left or right or up or down, it's up to us. It really is up to us because it's our world. Just, you know, shout out to everyone who performed, shout out to everyone who shared, shout out to everyone who listened, shout out to Shireen, who's been writing all night, and she finally shared with us her poem. It was really sweet to see that. Thank you, Aisha, for showing us that, you know, we can be strong and get through our tough, you know, tough times in life. yeah, I don't want to say anything else because we're all here and it's all love, 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 you know? So thank you, everyone. We'll stay strong together. Keep the community going.
Thank you, guys.